to allot higher quantities to state for distributing coal to small, medium and other consumers. States have also been advised to facilitate the new PNG connections for both domestic and commercial consumers. इसके अलावा कल under Section 3 of Essential Commodities Act, Government has issued a Gazette notification whereby PPAC has been designated as a nodal agency for collection, compilation, maintenance and analysis of information. All the concerned entities engaged in production, processing, refining, storage, transportation, import, export, marketing, distribution or consumption of petroleum products or natural gas have been directed to furnish information to PPAC. मैं ये बात दोबारा दोहराना चाहूँगी कि भारत सरकार हर लेवल पर डोमेस्टिक उपभोक्ताओं को LPG कंज्यूमर अवेलेबल कराने के लिए हर संभव प्रयत्न कर रही है। इसलिए अफवाहों पर ध्यान न दें और ऑफिशियल इंफॉर्मेशन पर रिलाई करें। पैनिक बुकिंग में कमी आई है, परंतु डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर्स के यहाँ अभी भी लाइन देखी जा रही है। इसलिए मेरी सभी उपभोक्ताओं से रिक्वेस्ट है कि ऑनलाइन रिफिल बुक करने के बाद होम डिलीवरी का इंतज़ार करें, डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर्स के यहाँ जाकर लाइन में ना लगें और जहाँ जहाँ पर ऑल्टरनेट फ्यूल की पॉसिबिलिटी है, प्लीज़ स्विच ऑन टू द ऑल्टरनेट फ्यूल और एनर्जी कंजर्वेशन, LPG कंजर्वेशन पर हर संभव प्रयत्न करें। धन्यवाद।
थैंक यू सुजाता। अब मैं मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ पोर्ट्स, शिपिंग एंड वाटरवेज के स्पेशल सेक्रेटरी श्री राजेश कुमार सिन्हा जी से अनुरोध करूंगी कि वे मैरीटाइम ऑपरेशन से जुड़े मुद्दों पर जानकारी दें।
धन्यवाद महोदय। आप सभी को नमस्कार। भारतीय फ्लैग के जहाज और नाविक सभी सुरक्षित हैं और उस क्षेत्र में गल्फ रीजन में पिछले 24 घंटों में कोई भी समुद्री घटना की सूचना नहीं है। वर्तमान में जहाज़ों की स्थिति जो 22 की थी वेस्ट ऑफ स्ट्रेट ऑफ हॉर्मुज पर्शियन गल्फ में, उसमें कोई बदलाव नहीं है। उसमें 611 भारतीय नाविक सवार हैं और सुरक्षित हैं। डीजी शिपिंग जहाज के मालिकों के साथ, जो उनकी एम्प्लॉयमेंट एजेंसी है उनके साथ और रिस्पेक्टिव भारतीय मिशन के साथ समन्वय की स्थिति में लगातार निगरानी कर रहा है। कंट्रोल रूम जो डीजी शिपिंग में ऑपरेट कर रहा है, उसमें पिछले 24 घंटों में 150 कॉल और करीब 225 ईमेल प्राप्त हुए जिनका रिस्पांस किया गया और पिछले 24 घंटों में 16 भारतीय नाविक अपनी साइन ऑफ के बाद वापस भारत आए और ये कार्य भी विभिन्न एयरपोर्टों पे भारतीय मिशन के साथ कोऑर्डिनेट करके संपन्न किया गया। मिनिस्ट्री रेगुलरली कोऑर्डिनेट कर रही है स्टेट मैरीटाइम बोर्ड्स के साथ, जहां पे कि अदर देन मेजर पोर्ट्स हैं प्रोमिनेंटली, जैसे मुंद्रा है गुजरात में, महाराष्ट्र में कुछ पोर्ट्स हैं जो हमारे मेजर पोर्ट्स हैं। उसके अलावा भी पोर्ट्स के साथ कोऑर्डिनेट करने के लिए गुजरात, महाराष्ट्र, गोवा, केरला, आंध्रा, पुदुचेरी और उनके साथ भी समन्वय, कोऑर्डिनेशन का वर्क और रेगुलर इंटरैक्शन कर रहे हैं और किसी भी जगह से कोई कंजेशन का रिपोर्ट नहीं है। इसी संदर्भ में मैं आपको पोर्ट ऑपरेशंस के संदर्भ में मैंने पहले आपको 3-4 पोर्टों के विषय में बताया था। जवाहरलाल नेहरू पोर्ट, वीओ चिदम्बरनार पोर्ट तूतीकोरिन, विशाखापट्टनम पोर्ट अथॉरिटी और मुंद्रा पोर्ट के विषय में मैंने कल बताया था। आज मैं आपको दीनदयाल पोर्ट अथॉरिटी कांडला के विषय में बताऊंगा। दीनदयाल पोर्ट अथॉरिटी ने एडिशनल स्टोरेज स्पेस की कैपेसिटी वहां क्रिएट की है और करीब 54 एकड़ का लैंड, एडिशनल लैंड स्टोरेज के लिए मुहैया कराया है। उसके साथ साथ चार्जेस और ऑपरेशनल सपोर्ट चार्जेस का वेवर, कुछ चार्जेस का वेवर भी है और ऑपरेशनल सपोर्ट के लिए भी कुछ कदम उठाए हैं। दीनदयाल पोर्ट ने 17 मार्च की सर्कुलर के द्वारा जो पोर्ट यूजर्स हैं उनको 50% का डिस्काउंट दिया है, जो कि आज जो चार्जेस एप्लीकेबल थे उसमें 50% का रिबेट या कंसेशन दिया है, जिससे कि वो पोर्ट के जो क्रेन्स हैं, हार्बर मोबाइल क्रेन्स होते हैं जो कार्गो को ऑपरेट करने के लिए, उनके यूज पे 50% का रिबेट दिया है। मिनिस्ट्री कंटिन्यूसली और बहुत क्लोजली शिपिंग के मूवमेंट को, पोर्ट के ऑपरेशंस को स्टेट मैरीटाइम बोर्ड के साथ, इंडियन सीफेयरर्स की वेलबींग्स, उनके वेलफेयर और कंटिन्यूटी ऑफ मैरीटाइम ट्रेड पे लगातार, और सिचुएशन जैसा इवॉल्व हो रही है वेस्ट एशिया में, उसको ध्यान में रखते हुए लगातार नज़र बनाए हुए हैं। धन्यवाद।
थैंक यू सर। मैं मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ एक्सटर्नल अफेयर्स के एडिशनल सेक्रेटरी श्री रणधीर जायसवाल जी से अनुरोध करूंगी कि एक्सटर्नल अफेयर्स से के पर्सपेक्टिव में जानकारी दें।
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. As you are aware, we have been in touch at the level of leadership with various countries since the onset of this conflict. In that regard, I would like to update you with some of the latest developments. Yesterday, our Prime Minister spoke with the Crown Prince of Kuwait. The two leaders exchanged views on the evolving situation in West Asia and shared their concerns over recent developments. Prime Minister reiterated India's condemnation of attacks on Kuwait's sovereignty and territorial integrity. He also underlined ensuring safe and free navigation through the Strait of Hormuz as a priority for us, as a foremost priority for us. The two leaders agreed that sustained diplomatic engagement remains essential for regional peace and stability. Prime Minister also thanked the Crown Prince for his continued support for the safety and well-being of our community in Kuwait. As you know, we have a large Indian diaspora in that country. He also conveyed his greetings for the upcoming festival of Eid to the Crown Prince. This is all that I have for the time being.
थैंक यू। अब मैं मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ एक्सटर्नल अफेयर्स के एडिशनल सेक्रेटरी गल्फ श्री असीम आर महाजन से रिक्वेस्ट करूंगी कि गल्फ रीजन से संबंधित अपडेट पर जानकारी दें।
Thank you. Good afternoon. We have kept you updated regularly regarding our efforts. Ministry of External Affairs continues to closely monitor the developments in the Gulf and the West Asia region. The safety, security and welfare of the large Indian community in the region remains our utmost priority. The Ministry's dedicated special control room remains operational to assist and support Indian nationals and their families. We are in regular touch with the state governments and the union territories to share information and coordinate our efforts. As I have been briefing, our missions and posts across the region are functioning round the clock to support our community. Updated advisories are being issued regularly to keep our citizens informed. Our missions remain in close contact with the local governments. Let me assure you that the 24/7 helplines of our missions continue to proactively assist seafarers, students, stranded Indian nationals, and short-term visitors for visas, consular services, and logistical support where required. An update on the status of flights. While there have been operational closures in some countries, overall the flight situation continues to improve with additional flights operating. Since February 28th, around 280,000 passengers have returned from the region to India. Airlines continue to operate limited non-scheduled flights based on operational and safety considerations between UAE and India. On March 18th, around 75 flights operated, and today the upward trend continues with 90 flights expected to operate from various airports in UAE to India. Flights continue to operate from Oman and Saudi Arabia to India. Qatar airspace remains partially open, with Qatar Airways operating non-scheduled commercial flights to India. Qatar Airways is operating 9 flights to various destinations in India today. Kuwait airspace has been closed since 28th February 2026. Jazeera Airways of Kuwait has announced special non-scheduled commercial flights to various destinations in India from the Al Qaisuma International Airport in Saudi Arabia, with the first flight scheduled tomorrow to Kochi. Bahrain airspace remains closed. Gulf Air of Bahrain has been operating special flights from Dammam Airport of Saudi Arabia to India. Special non-scheduled commercial flights are expected to operate from Dammam Airport to various destinations in coming days. In view of the flight restrictions from Kuwait, Bahrain and Iraq, we continue to facilitate transit of stranded Indian nationals and for emergency cases via Saudi Arabia. An update on Safe Sea Vishnu. 15 Indian crew members of MT Safe Sea Vishnu who were safely rescued have left Iraq and are expected to return to India soon. Our mission is also in touch with them and with the concerned Iraqi authorities to expedite repatriation of the mortal remains of the Indian national who unfortunately lost his life in the incident. Thank you.
थैंक यू। अंत में मैं मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ इंफॉर्मेशन एंड ब्रॉडकास्टिंग के जॉइंट सेक्रेटरी श्री सेंथिल राजन से रिक्वेस्ट करूंगी कि वो पब्लिक इंफॉर्मेशन से संबंधित पहलुओं पर जानकारी दें।
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, ma'am. Just to make two important information to pass on to you. One, just before this press conference, a short while ago, the Ministry of Commerce and Industry held a press conference where they have announced a new relief package for exporters. The government has approved a relief package which is called Relief, meaning Resilience and Logistic Intervention of Export Facilitation. It is an intervention under the Export Promotion Mission to support exporters amidst West Asia logistics disruptions. It is being undertaken under the Flexible Export Promotion Mission framework. The approval of relief reflects the government's commitment to respond swiftly to external disruptions affecting India's trade flows. As you are all aware, the government had set up an inter-ministerial group on supply chain resilience, which was operationalized on March 3, 2026 to monitor the situation and coordinate facilitation measures. The inter-ministerial group has been meeting daily and taking review meetings, and following the review and the different meetings that they've had, these measures have been announced. The relief package will be implemented through the Export Promotion Mission, and it has a total financial outlay of 497 crores. A very detailed press release has been uploaded on PIB website. You may look at it, and it gives you details of the scheme and the components which it will be covering for your information. The second thing that we have already flagged, this is for the general citizens. There are a lot of efforts of cyber frauds which are still continuing in the digital space. अभी हम लोग सभी नागरिक से ये निवेदन करते हैं, आप लोग बहुत जानकारी रखें और इस तरह का साइबर और डिजिटल स्कैम से बच के रहें। आप लोग का मोबाइल फ़ोन पे कुछ फाइल्स भेजा जाता है जिसमें लिखा जाता है गैस बिल अपडेट APK फाइल्स, और अगर आप उस फाइल को डाउनलोड करते हैं उस पर आप लोगों का बैंक अकाउंट्स और बाकी डिटेल्स मांगते हैं और उसके थ्रू साइबर और डिजिटल फ्रॉड्स हो रही है। इसको आप लोग सभी लोग इससे बच कर रहें, और अगर इस तरह का आपको मोबाइल फ़ोन में कोई नंबर से आती है वो ज़रूर आपका पुलिस से कंप्लेंट करें, और हमारा कंप्लेंट नंबर्स में भी आप इन्फॉर्म करें, और इस तरह का जो डिजिटल फ्रॉड्स हो रही है इससे आप लोग बच कर रहें।
Thank you. We will now take few questions from the media. We'll start with first row, 234.
Hi, I have a couple of questions for Sujata ma'am. Ma'am, first of all, about this Gazette notification that was issued, seeking data from various stakeholders, where PPAC will be compiling it and assessing it. What was the requirement for this? Didn't the government earlier not have access to this data, because PPAC in any case was compiling industry data? It has been doing that for a long time. So what was the specific need of this order? That is one. The other is with regard to the attack on Ras Laffan Industrial City in Qatar. Although we understand that there is a force majeure in place and Qatari LNG was anyway not coming to India, but considering that the facilities have been hit and the damage seems to be extensive as per Qatar Energy, what does this exactly mean for our LNG supplies even in a post-war scenario? Has there been any assessment that has been done at the ministries level or at the level of Petronet, LNG, GAIL, etc.? Thank you.
67. Sapna ji.
Thank you so much. Sapna Das from CNBC TV 18. Two questions. Basically, Brent is also now nudging $120 a barrel, and our own basket is about $145. So, wanted to understand how the price pressures are being felt by various stakeholders. Of course, domestic users are protected so far, but what could be the breaking point, so to speak. Second, also the same question that our colleagues have asked in terms of the hit on LNG, basically after the escalation in attacks on energy assets in West Asia. And third was on insurance. Is some plan underway to offer insurance to our exporters, given the West Asia disruptions? Thank you.
76.
I'm Pallavi from CNN News 18. Just to adding on to Sapna's question, one, we know that the Brent crude prices have crossed $115.
जीरा सिप असली रिफ्रेशिंग, असली स्वाद, असली मजा।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
आर प्योर सूजी पास्ता उबालो, मिलाओ और खाओ,
8 मिनट में तैयार।
क्या टेस्ट है सबका राजा आर प्योर मसाला।
First we saw the people dying, the killings, and that's continuing, destruction of infrastructure, and now the economic impact. The economic impact will affect everybody across the world. The price of LNG, cooking gas has already gone up. So it is a very serious problem. We are all going to suffer. So we all have to work to make.
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद, यही तो है इसकी खास बात। वाओ मामा, क्या स्वाद है। अरे मेरे राजा, सबका राजा आर प्योर मसाला।
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे। केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
चमकी चाट से क्या बना है?
आलू चाट या फ्रूट चाट,
स्वाद बनाए चमकी चाट।
क्या बात है। स्वादिष्ट पकोड़े और फरसान, अरे चंकी चाट है इसकी जान।
असली स्वाद सिर्फ चंकी चाट।
First,
Good afternoon, viewers. You're watching Live and Breaking, and I am Rakhta Mishra with you. Let's get started with all the top stories of the day that we are tracking for you. According to sources, a Russian intel input played a key role in the arrest of the U.S. mercenary Van Dyke and 6 Ukrainian citizens by the NIA. Fresh exclusive visuals from the Strait of Hormuz, captured by the captain of an Indian ship stuck in the region on Republic TV, who reports that shelling has increased in the last 24 hours. The tit-for-tat attacks on gas facilities lead to surge in oil prices. Brent crude over $112 per barrel. 12 Gulf countries issued a joint statement condemn Iran's aggression using ballistic missiles and drones targeting residential areas and civilian infrastructure. Trump slams Israel for attacking the South Pars gas field in Iran without his approval or permission. And Anil Ambani appears before CBI, expected to be questioned today and tomorrow. All right, viewers, we start with breaking news coming in right now. What we're understanding is that India has announced a relief scheme, and this is a 497 crore rupee relief scheme under the Export Promotion Mission to support exporters affected by the West Asia conflict. In fact, this is amid the rising logistic costs and the insurance premiums creating pressure on trade. The package, implemented through the Export Credit Guarantee Corporation of India, is designed to provide targeted support across different segments of exporters and help maintain export momentum amid ongoing global disruptions. So this is a relief scheme that has been announced by the government of India. It's a 497 crore rupee relief scheme under the Export Promotion Mission. As there has been an impact on trade, on the exports, so to support the exporters that have been affected by the war in West Asia. The rising logistic costs and the insurance premiums have created pressure on trade. So that is, in fact, my colleague Pranav is joining us live on the broadcast from the business desk. Pranav, tell us more details. Explain to us what sort of an impact this relief scheme could have.
Well, just to give you a perspective on this one, I would just tell you, besides the fact that the reliefs have been announced, the Indian exports to the Middle East have been affected, not just because of the ongoing energy crisis, but because of the tariffs as well. Since February, in fact, the Indian exports were down. The Strait of Hormuz, in fact, witnesses about $57 billion worth of exports to the Gulf nations from India. So given that the textile industry, which is one of the major exporters to this region, has been under threat, the government has now come out with this particular package. It's a 497 crore relief scheme for exporters that have been hit by the conflict. It will primarily be, supporting those exporters who face high logistics costs and insurance premiums. Remember, the insurance premiums in the region have gone up, and logistics costs have started climbing because of the price of oil. So, keeping in mind these important elements which serve as the inputs for the export industry, the government has taken this step.
Thank you, Pranav. But stay on with us. In fact, we have some more breaking news coming in. This is about the markets today. We're getting an update that the Sensex has crashed over 2,298 points today. And Pranav, if I go across to you on this, this is, of course, something that we witnessed today. Is it the rise in the crude oil price behind the crash?
Is one of the major reasons behind the crash today. In fact, what we are seeing right now is some of the largest gas fields in the region being hit by Israel and then by Iran in retaliatory attacks as well. What we are seeing is the worst day for Indian markets ever since this war began. Today, in fact, Sensex and Nifty have crashed over 3%. As we see, the market has closed 3.26% lower. That's the worst one-day fall that the market has witnessed ever since the West Asia conflict actually began. We're seeing the ripples of oil prices rising seen across the markets. Just to give you a perspective, the European as well as Asian markets have also been trading in the red zone. As we speak, all the European markets are currently trading in the red zone.
Right. Many thanks, Pranav, for joining us with those details coming in from the markets today. Shifting focus to other story, viewers now. India's energy lifeline is under pressure as 22 Indian-flagged ships carrying 1.67 million tons of crude oil, LPG and LNG remain stranded. Going to get you more updates on that.
As concerns loom large over Indian energy supplies stranded in the Strait of Hormuz, dozens of Indian ships carrying crude, LPG and LNG continue to remain trapped in the Strait of Hormuz as conflict escalates in the Gulf region. And in the midst of this, adding on to the resultant global energy crisis, fresh visuals emerge from the Strait of Hormuz. These exclusive visuals, captured by Indian seafarers, show the stranded vessels placed along the sea. One captain aboard a stranded vessel goes on to make a claim. He says shelling has reportedly increased in the past 24 hours. While a few vessels have made it to the safety, the majority remain stranded on the west side with over 600 crew members aboard waiting for clearance. But the government is assured that none of these vessels have been struck so far. Earlier this week, 3 LPG carriers, Shivalik, Nanda Devi and Jagladki, completed their voyage to stations at Mundra Port and Kandla Port respectively.
All right, we have some breaking news coming in now. The European Union chief has given a statement on the Strait of Hormuz, on the condition right now. What we know is that the policy chief, EU foreign policy chief, says that EU is working with the UN to find safe passage for ships through the Strait of Hormuz. That's the breaking news we have right now. The European Union is working with the United Nations to help the ships stranded get a safe passage from this Hormuz.
We have a long agenda today, of course, very important topics like energy and single market, but from my competencies, it is, of course, what is happening in the Middle East and Ukraine. So first on Middle East, Iran's attacks on Qatar energy infrastructure create further chaos, and it's clear that we need an exit from this war, not escalation. And that's why I've been also doing the diplomatic outreach to Iran to find different solutions. To be very clear, I talked to the minister before the execution of the Swedish citizen, so I was not able to raise that, but in my future calls I will definitely do that, also raise all the issues that we have. We have United Nations here today, and we are also working closely with them to find a safe passage for the ships via the Strait of Hormuz, because it's really a problem for especially Asia as well as Africa, that the oil, gas, but also fertilizers and food does not move from the Strait of Hormuz because it's not safe at the moment. We have a long agenda today, of course, very important topics like energy and single market, but from my competencies, it is, of course, what is happening in the Middle East and Ukraine. So first on Middle East, Iran's attacks on Qatar energy infrastructure create further chaos, and it's clear that we need an exit from this war, not escalation. And that's why I've been also doing the diplomatic outreach to Iran to find different solutions. To be very clear, I talked to the minister before the execution of the Swedish citizen, so I was not able to raise that, but in my future calls I will definitely do that, also raise all the issues that we have. We have United Nations here today, and we are also working closely with them to find a safe passage for the ships via the Strait of Hormuz, because it's really a problem for especially Asia as well as Africa, that the oil, gas, but also fertilizers and food does not move from the Strait of Hormuz because it's not safe at the moment.
Breaking news coming in right now. Amidst the escalating war, another refinery has been hit. And this time it's the Samref that has been hit in the Red Sea port city of Yanbu. Saudi Arabia has said that a drone has struck the Samref refinery in the Red Sea port city of Yanbu. And authorities confirmed that a damage assessment is currently underway. In fact, the attack comes amid wider regional tensions, with reports of drones and missile strikes also hitting oil and gas facilities in Kuwait, Qatar, UAE, further escalating concerns over energy security and global oil supply routes. So Saudi Arabia claims that the Samref refinery has been hit in the Red Sea port. It's a drone strike that Saudi Arabia claims has taken place. That's the breaking news we have right now. I think the location, the purpose of this this Google map, I think, is to show that where it has been hit. So we've seen that time and again the oil facilities have been hit by Iran. This one, another claim made by Saudi Arabia. All right, we will now shift our focus to the other big story that we are tracking for you. This is the case, the global conspiracy on Indian soil. Now, Ukraine has reacted, and in fact, it says that it's a politically motivated case. Ukraine calls the mercenary case a politically motivated case. It denies involvement in such activities, says it is not involved in any terrorist activities. So this is the reaction coming in from the embassy of Ukraine in India, expressing concerns regarding the presence of circumstances that point to a possible orchestrated and politically motivated nature. I'm just quoting from the embassy statement, ladies and gentlemen. It goes on to say, right, and I quote, Ukraine firmly rejects any insinuations regarding the possible involvement of the Ukrainian state in supporting terrorist activities. Ukraine is a state that faces the consequences of Russian terror on a daily basis, and for this very reason takes a principled and uncompromising stance in combating terrorism in all its forms. Ukraine and India have already confirmed at the highest level their shared principled position on combating terrorism, and this is the update we have right now. So Ukraine has Ukraine's embassy has now reacted. It's issued a statement in this regard, and this is pertaining to the case how 6 Ukrainians have been arrested, 1 American mercenary and 6 others, and those are Ukrainians who are in NIA custody for this conspiracy case, for this case pertaining to the violations on Indian soil and how there could be a possible hand as far as behind that violence in Manipur is concerned. My colleague Shamavi joins us live on the broadcast for more. Shamavi, tell us more details about what I'm picking up. Ukraine now has reacted, denying any involvement of the state of Ukraine.
Well, let us tell our viewers what exactly has Ukraine said. The Ukraine has said that there are many reports in the media where they're alleging that out of the 7 arrested foreign nationals, 6 of them, they are Ukrainians, and that they were involved in some terror-related activities. Now, Ukraine has come out and said that there are media reports regarding it, but Ukraine itself is a victim of terrorism, so it would never support any terror-related activity. This is what Ukraine has said. Apart from this, it has said that this entire case where the 7 arrested, 7 foreign nationals arrested by NIA, and there has been talks about how they were using India as a route to bring their drones as well as their other equipments from Europe. Everything seems to be politically motivated and orchestrated, and has also appealed to India to make sure that a fair and transparent proceeding takes place, that all the legal process is followed, and has completely come out and denied any allegation which is related to terror. Now, it was being said since past couple of days, since the 7 foreign nationals were arrested by NIA from 3 different airports in a coordinated effort by NIA after a special input from Russian intelligence, where they've said that they were involved into military training. They were military training the armed groups which are found in border of India and Myanmar. And Ukraine has said that they do not associate themselves from anything. They don't relate to this, and they said that they completely deny that the 6 Ukrainians were involved in terror-related activities because they themselves are a victim of terrorism. Back to you, Rakshita.
They are, insinuating that this is an attempt to malign Ukraine. As much as even going on to say that this is a politically motivated case. We clearly see how it's trying to pinpoint at what Russia is doing. This is it says that it has already fighting against the Russian forces, and the fact that this is only an attempt to malign Ukraine. But the fact remains that these 6 people are Ukrainians for a fact. There has been no comment on those individuals. In this statement, if you see, there has been no mention about these individuals. They are not even saying that, no, these are not Ukrainians, or we do not know about them, or we are going to take anything into account. Are we going to investigate or not? Nothing of that sort has been mentioned by Ukraine in this statement. All they are talking about is that we will never be involved in any such terrorist activity.
Exactly. It comes as a very umbrella statement, we can say, because they're not, as you very rightly pointed out, they're not pinpointing to any of such incident. They've just said that they do not associate themselves with terrorism because they themselves are a victim of it. And also, when you look at their statement, they have stressed on the India and Ukraine's strong relations. And they've also said that India should make sure that a fair and legal and transparent process is undertaken to make sure that nothing of such sorts gets associated with Ukraine's name. So basically what Ukraine has been doing is Ukraine is dusting its hand off with relation to anything related to terrorism, saying that it itself is a victim of terrorism, so it would never associate itself, it would never propagate any such terrorist activity.
Right. Stay on with us, Shamvi. Also, I'm being joined by my colleague Ishita from the newsroom. Ishita, if you can hear me. Ukraine calls this case motivated. This case is politically motivated. If you could just take us through those important parts of this statement, the first one that is coming in right now from Ukraine on this case.
Right, of course, we've got first a written statement from the Embassy of Ukraine on the mercenary case that has been going on in India. We saw 6 Ukrainians were arrested by NIA. They are still in custody till 27th of March. And now Ukraine has come out making big allegations, saying it's a politically motivated case and no allegations of terrorism should be leveled against Kyiv without verified facts. Now, it also says it is Russia, in fact. Now, we know that there was intelligence provided by Russia, due to which the crackdown was triggered, but now Ukraine says it is an attempt on the part of Russia to, in fact, try and create a divide between India and Ukraine. So those are big allegations that have now been leveled by Kyiv against Ukraine. We are looking at Russia versus Ukraine now spilling over the NIA arrests that have been made in the mercenary case. Now, remember, these 6 Ukrainians, they have been involved in transiting drones through India to Myanmar. They were in contact with local networks in Manipur and Mizoram. So now the interrogation is currently on to try and find out their motives, and it seems that there's a larger network as well. There are 14 members who are part of this group, and now Ukraine coming out, it's releasing its first statement saying that these allegations cannot be made without verified facts, transparent procedures and full intergovernmental cooperation. In fact, I'll also read out a few other sentences that have been that are part of the statement. Ukraine emphasizes the necessity of ensuring objectivity, transparency and impartiality in the investigation of this case. They also express their principled readiness for active cooperation between Ukrainian authorities and their Indian counterparts going forward. So we're certainly looking at, as the interrogation continues, the Ukrainian officials also now offering their participation in this probe, which they call is a politically motivated one.
Stay on with us, Ishita. I also have with me former diplomat, Ambassador Deepak Vora, joining us on the broadcast. Ambassador Vora, this is the Embassy of Ukraine issuing a statement saying that this is just an attempt to malign Ukraine, and that this case is a politically motivated case. While it has been found that these are Ukrainians who have violated the law of entry and the training they were providing, how they embedded themselves in the ethnic group, and there's a larger conspiracy even against the state of India, the government of India, that is being now probed. How do you see this reaction from Kyiv?
Well, thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
It's always a pleasure to be with you on your amazing channel. May I begin by saying the Ukrainians are idiots. If you are the ambassador of Ukraine here, you have an embassy, you don't say things like this. You're making allegations against the government of India. You're asking for free and fair trial. Who do you think you are? Little pipsqueak of a nation? That you think that the trial in India would be not free and fair? Most unworthy of any civilized, decent ambassador. The fellow should be booted out. recalled by his government. We know all about corruption in Ukraine. We know all about how they are getting clobbered. We also know that India will never do anything that is not in its national interest. The suggestion that we are acting on behalf of the Russians, this is ridiculous. On the other hand, we have people saying we're acting on behalf of the Americans as far as the Israel-Iran war is concerned. Who do these people think they are? I think the chap has lost his balance. I'm using harsh words. I think the fellow, whoever issued this press release, has lost his balance, should either be sent to an asylum or sent back to his country. I'm afraid an Indian diplomat would never, ever, an Indian mission would never, ever cast aspersions on the impartiality of the legal system of the host country.
Absolutely. Many thanks, Ambassador Vora, joining us with your first reaction on that story. We continue to give our viewers more detail, but right now, shifting focus to politics back home in India. Right now, what we are getting to know is that the Congress has issued a show-cause notice to its Rajya Sabha members for skipping the Rajya Sabha. 3 MLAs have been given a show-cause notice for skipping the Rajya Sabha voting in Bihar, allegedly contributing to the defeat of the Mahagathbandhan that we're talking about here. Just recently, the Rajya Sabha polls were held, and now Congress has issued a show-cause notices to 3 of its MLAs for skipping the Rajya Sabha voting in Bihar, which ultimately we saw that how the Mahagathbandhan candidate Amarendra Dhari Singh was defeated, and this show-cause notice seeks explanation on their absence within 2 days.
आपके मीडिया के साथी के साथ भी बोलेंगे आप सम्मान से बड़ा कुछ नहीं होता है, और जब हमारे दल का नेता का ही चुनाव में कहीं कोई भागीदारी नहीं थी तो हमको लगा कि हमारे दल के नेता के साथ और हमारे जैसे हम भी एक वोट का अधिकारी थे, मगर हम लोग के साथ भेदभाव किया गया था, इसलिए हम वोट गिरा, सम्मान पे ठेस पहुंची इसलिए वोट गिराने नहीं। जवाब में जो सच्चाई है, जो पूरा चुनाव में देखने के लिए मिला, वो हम जवाब बना के दे रहे हैं, और हमारे दल का नेता स्वतंत्र है, उसका जो भी गाइडलाइंस है उसको मानेंगे। और बात नहीं तो आप देखिए ना श्रीमान, पूरा चुनाव के दरमियान में प्रत्याशी से लेके प्रत्याशी चुनाव के दरमियान में हमारे दल का कोई नेता को इस चुनाव में अनदेखी किया गया था। हम लोग दल से बंधे हुए लोग हैं, दल का सम्मान चाहते हैं। कल कई लोगों से बैठ के हम लोग की बात हो रही थी, ये महत्व।
And we were shifting focus to Afghanistan, where a funeral for those people who were killed in the strikes conducted by Pakistan has been held. It's a mass funeral. More than 400 had lost their lives in the cowardly attack by the Pakistanis. The civilian death toll has risen. We'll get you more on this report.
After Pakistan attacks on a Kabul rehabilitation center that killed 400 people, Afghan Taliban Interior Minister Sirajuddin Haqqani and other Taliban leaders gathered at a mosque for their funeral. Visuals show excavator machines digging graves for victims killed in the Pakistani airstrike. Family members, alongside other Taliban leaders, offered funeral prayers and carried coffins. The airstrikes marked a dramatic escalation of the conflict. A conflict that began late last month and has seen repeated cross-border clashes, as well as Pakistani airstrikes on innocent civilians inside Afghanistan.
So is the gas crisis going to just snowball? That's what we're going to tell you about on the other side of this very, very short break, as the tit-for-tat attacks continue on oil facilities, gas facilities, leading to the surge in oil prices as Brent crude goes over $112 per barrel.
In the global employability rankings by Times Higher Education UK, only the following 6 institutions from India are ranked amongst the top 230 in the world for having the most employable graduates: IIT Delhi, IISc Bangalore, IIT Bombay, IIM Ahmedabad, IIT Kharagpur and Amity University.
Pure Shahi Paneer Masala. Delicious, healthy
every day.
First we saw the people dying, the killings, and that's continuing, destruction of infrastructure, and now the economic impact. The economic impact will affect everybody across the world. You know, the price of LNG, cooking gas has already gone up. So it is a very serious problem.
प्योर सूजी पास्ता उबालो मिलाओ और खाओ
8 मिनट में तैयार।
क्या टेस्ट है सबका राजा आर प्योर मसाला।
रानी इस घर में कुछ है जो टूटता नहीं।
ये पिलर कभी नहीं टूटेगा। रुंगटा स्टील TMT से बना।
रुंगटा नहीं तो घर स्ट्रॉन्ग नहीं। रुंगटा स्टील TMT बार एकदम सॉलिड।
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद यही तो है इसकी खास बात। वाओ मामा क्या स्वाद है। अरे मेरे राजा
सबका राजा आर प्योर मसाला।
First we saw the people dying, the killings, and that's continuing, destruction of infrastructure, and now the economic.
चमकी चाट से क्या बना है?
सैंडविच लस्सी और छाछ और
हर घूंट में चमकी चाट। ड्राई फ्रूट और दही बड़े।
चमकी चाट से स्वाद बढ़े।
असली स्वाद सिर्फ चंकी चाट।
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल बनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल बोलो जुबान केसरी।
आर प्योर शाही पनीर मसाला, डिलीशियस, हेल्दी every day.
First we saw the people dying, the killings, and that's continuing, destruction of infrastructure, and now the economic impact. The economic impact will affect everybody across the world. You know, the price of LNG, cooking gas has already gone up. So it is a very serious problem. We're all going to suffer. So we all have to work to make sure it ends soon. And I hope that, led by our Prime Minister, etc., we will work on that.
ठीक है मंडू भेज रहा है। ठीक है ना भेज रहा मंडू। नहीं तो फोन तो करा अरे अनुसरी होगा। हो गया। तुम तो कमाल किया तो नीचे। अब तुम गाड़ी ले पूर्ण वाला। ना तो कुछ का गाड़ी मार रहा है।
From Asia's largest news headquarters, setting the agenda for Bharat. You're watching Republic.
Hello and welcome viewers, you're watching live and breaking on Republic TV with me, Ishita Mitra. Now viewers, a big escalation has come in the mercenary case. Ukraine releases first statement calling it an attempt to malign Kyiv and create a wedge between New Delhi and Kyiv by Russia. We'll get you all the details on that, but first up, let's take a look at the headlines we're tracking for you at this hour. According to sources, a Russian intelligence importer played a key role in the arrest of a US mercenary Van Dyke and 6 Ukrainian citizens by NIA. Fresh exclusive visuals from the Strait of Hormuz captured by the captain of an Indian ship stuck in the region who reports that shellings have now increased in the last 24 hours. US intelligence reporter claims that Pakistan developing missiles with nuclear payload and Pak advanced missiles now threaten US. The tit-for-tat attacks on gas facilities lead to surge in oil prices. Brent crude over $115 per barrel. Anil Ambani appears before a CBI, expected to be questioned today as well as tomorrow. Sensex closes at 74,465, down by over 2,200 points, marking a nearly 3% slump, whereas Nifty 50 crashes over 705.35 points. All right, viewers, a top focus at this hour, the tensions escalating between Taiwan as well as China. Now we've seen a cruise missile test taken by Taiwan in response to the incursions that were in fact followed up by a Chinese PLA. Now this was a low altitude Seung Feng cruise missile flyover during routine Taiwanese defense test. It took place on March 18th. It's a primary longer range land attack cruise missile. It's capable of striking deep inside the Chinese mainland. And now, in fact, the test was designated to validate the low altitude penetration profile against potential invasion fleets or high value targets. Now, remember, timing is key here. The test comes after there were incursions reported by PLA planes. Let's take a look at these visuals which show you how the test was conducted. In fact, it's been captured from a beach. Let's take a look. Now, viewers, on this, we've got some more breaking developments coming to light. Now, according to Taiwan's National Defense Ministry, there were 12 PLA aircraft, 9 planned vessels, and 2 official ships that were operating around Taiwan. As per Taiwan's ministry, 5 out of 12 sorties even crossed the median line and entered Taiwan's northern, central, and southwestern part. That's Aries. In fact, that's the zone regarding its airspace, and this was where there were incursions reported by Chinese planes and vessels as well. Now remember, there were several incursions which were reported before the missile test, and some have now been reported even after. There were 5 Chinese sorties that even crossed the median line. So that's the bigger question at this hour. Are we looking at the conflict that's emerging in West Asia, as well as the conflict between Afghanistan and Pakistan? Are these conflicts now emboldening China to also be more aggressive as far as Taiwan is concerned? That's the big question we need to be asking at this point. My colleague Ishan now joins me with more details. Ishan, do tell us about the test that's now been conducted by Taiwan, as well as the Chinese incursions that have now taken place. We have seen Chinese vessels as Chinese planes now crossing into Taiwan's territory as well.
Absolutely. This particular test is of the HF-2E missile. Now, the HF-2E missile is a low-altitude cruise missile specially designed for warfare against Chinese vessels that have been incursions. Now, the Chinese have this unique capability that they have designed, wherein they have started using civilian vessels apart from their PLA vessels to get into the Taiwanese waters and do penetration testing. And by penetration testing, I mean that they will see at which point Taiwan triggers the defensive response. Now, this is what we call the air defense identification zone. So China has been strategically sending their military aircraft into Taiwan's air defense identification zone, wherein they will be providing and looking at the defensive response by the Taiwanese military. And this is what showcases the response of the Taiwanese by developing such cruise missiles as a response to these Chinese incursions. This HF-2E missile is a very special missile. It has been designed to be launched from ground against sea-based targets, and it can also be used to penetrate into China up to 2,000 kilometers. It is a very long-range, very low-flying, stealthy missile that has been developed by the Chinese military. Now, there is a large order that has been placed for these missiles. Approximately 1,000 of these missiles are currently being manufactured, and this order has been placed by the Taiwanese government in early 2025. And the fulfillment have started. And we can see that some of the testing is also being conducted as these are being inducted into the Taiwanese military. And this will be providing a secure defense net to prevent a large-scale invasion against a lot of marine traffic that is being generated by this militia of the Chinese Navy, or PLAN. This militia is basically civilian ships that are designated to provide support to the military in case of an invasion of the Taiwanese island takes place. Now, this is a large-scale exercise that took place on 13th of March, where approximately 1,000 boats of this militia had accumulated near the coastline of Taiwan in a formation that simulated a blockade of the island. And we saw that on 15th of March also there were around 16 aircraft that entered into the Taiwanese air defense identification zone, whereas 10 other aircraft were also in the vicinity, with 7 vessels looking into what the Taiwanese response is. And a few days later, we can see that Taiwan has tested this missile, which showcases this capability of Taiwanese military to respond against the Chinese threat. And this can be seen as clear escalation in the matrix. Back to you, Ishita.
All right, Ishana, do continue to stay with us on this. We're also being joined by Lieutenant General Asit Mistry on a phone line. Sir, I want to ask you a quick question on the kind of developments we're now looking in Asia. We have seen Taiwan testing a cruise missile, and this comes right as there were several incursions reported into its territory. We have seen Chinese vessels as well as Chinese aircraft reportedly incursion into its territory. So I want to ask you, sir, with what we're looking here, US's actions on Iran, is China being emboldened to become more aggressive as far as Taiwan is concerned?
Yes, the indications are very much there. You know, some time back, about 10-15 years back, the US was to follow a policy of pivot to Asia, that is Asia-Pacific, Indo-Pacific region. But because the US has got so badly stuck and mired in the Middle East that it is not able to extract itself from there and pivot to Indo-Pacific as should have been or was their policy, a strategic policy about 10-15 years back. So this is definitely, emboldening China. It is giving confidence to China, and the assertiveness that is being practiced under the Xi Jinping regime is getting greater and greater day by day. And in Asia will have to look for themselves, for their own security, own safety. And therefore you see these developments in Taiwan. You see similar kind of reach out by Philippines and Indonesia. They want to purchase equipment, our BrahMos missile, which is also a version of a cruise missile.
Right, sir. All right, sir, I want to ask you, we have seen these simulations of blockade around Taiwan before, these incursions as well. But are these incursions a little bit different this time? Could we see further escalation between China and Taiwan?
Well, this is a game that has been going on for quite some time. I do not think that they will cross any kind of Rubicon. this little bit of, showing off and scaring each other off will continue for some time. It's like playing chicken. And then hopefully things will quieten down. It will not cross the Rubicon, in my view.
Right. Sir, also if you could talk a little more about the cruise missile test. Now, this missile is capable of hitting mainland China as well, according to its long-range capabilities. So if you could just talk more about this missile test.
Yes, a cruise missile, by its definition and its basic nature, is supposed to fly at a very, very low altitude. Unlike a ballistic missile, which, exits the Earth's atmosphere and then re-enters the Earth's atmosphere, a cruise missile continues to travel at a lower trajectory along the surface and thereby evading the enemy radars. And thus, very, very difficult to find any kind of defense against a cruise missile. You see the kind of success our BrahMos missiles had during Operation Sindoor, and similarly the success of the Tomahawk cruise missiles of the US. So this is inherent capability of cruise missiles of being very, very difficult to detect and therefore very, very difficult to counter or to protect against.
Right, so all right, Lieutenant General Asit Mistry joining us on Public. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us and sharing these inputs on these latest developments. Well, now looking between China as well as Taiwan. And now, viewers, moving on to another breaking development getting at this hour. Russian oil tanker is now expected to reach India on March 21st. Aqua Titan vessel has now been chartered by MRPL. The arrival date is in fact 21st of March at Mangalore port. It's carrying crude oil and it's a crude oil tanker. Aqua Titan is currently located in near the Laccadive Sea, and it's a current location that we're getting you just about 19 minutes ago, and it's carrying crude oil. It's a crude oil tanker. It's sailing under the flag of Cameroon is what we are given to understand. Now, viewers, that's the breaking news we're getting at this far. India is now diversifying its sources of crude as well as gas, and we're looking at a Russian oil tanker now on its way to India. It's sailing under the flag of Cameroon, and it is now expected to be docking at Mangalore port on 21st of March. So certainly a relief as far as the energy situation is concerned in India. It's a Russian ship titled Aqua Titan. It is now set to dock at Mangalore port. The arrival date is in fact March 21st. The ship here is sailing under the flag of Cameroon. Now, we have seen efforts on the part of New Delhi to diversify its sources of energy, to diversify its energy basket. In fact, Russia had also offered to supply more gas and crude to India. As the world over, we're looking at an energy crisis, and now the latest information Republic is picking up is about a Russian crude oil tanker that's now expected to be docking at an Indian port in Mangalore on 21st of March. So certainly big relief in terms of the energy situation in India. Now that's the latest we're picking up regarding the situation in India. There's another Russian vessel that's now headed towards the Indian coast. It's sailing under the flag of Cameroon. It is expected to be docking at Mangalore port, in fact, on 21st of March. It's Aqua Titan. It's a crude oil tanker. It's sailing under the flag of Cameroon, and the arrival date for the ship is 21st of March. Now, this Aqua Titan vessel, it's chartered by MRPL, and it is expected to reach India on March 21st. So a big relief in terms of energy situation. Now, my colleague Harsha has been closely tracking this. Joins me. Harsh, in fact, joins me on this. Harsh, we understand a Russian oil tanker is now on its way to India, expected to be docking at Mangalore port on 21st. Give us more details about this.
Well, right. In fact, these are the latest inputs we have received in the Inter-Ministerial briefing that was held in New Delhi a few minutes back. It has expected to reach in the Indian port 21st. This is a Russian tanker that is carrying crude oil. Earlier this week, another crude oil tanker has in fact arrived in another Indian port, and this is the big breaking we are fetching from the Inter-Ministerial briefing that this Russian oil tanker is expected to reach at the port of Mangalore on March 21st. This, in fact, is a big relief as we are in a situation of war and crude oil supplies remain disrupted as Strait of Hormuz, as the operations at Strait of Hormuz remains affected.
Right, Ash, certainly a big relief as far as the energy situation is concerned in India. Thank you so much for joining us and giving us those details. And now we're moving on to another story. Now, Strait of Hormuz has become a war zone. Iran has been claiming complete control over the economic corridor. And now the breaking development is that Iranian lawmaker says that Iran parliament is now considering passing a bill that would impose a toll and tax on the ships which are seeking safe passage through Hormuz. Now, it's a big development as far as Strait of Hormuz is concerned. It has been blocked ever since the war started. IRGC has claimed complete control over the economic corridor, and now we're looking at Iran mulling over the plans to impose tax, to impose a toll on the ships that seek a safe passage through the Strait of Hormuz. Now remember, 1/5 of the global oil passes through this strait. It is a gateway for all the exports that come from the Gulf countries, which are primary sources of crude and gas. And now Iran, in fact, looking to maintain complete control over it. It has been leveraging its control through the blockade, but now it seems to be going a step ahead, saying it will be imposing a tax and a toll if a safe passage is allowed to any ship through the Strait of Hormuz. Now, it's still a plan that's under consideration. An Iranian lawmaker, in fact, has now spoken on this plan to impose toll and tax on the ships which in fact seek safe passage through the Strait of Hormuz. So a big impact on energy sector is something that could be expected. All right, viewers, now India's energy lifeline is under pressure as about 22 Indian-flagged ships carrying over 1.67 million tons of crude oil, LPG as well as LNG remain stranded in the Strait of Hormuz. Now, this comes following the US-Israel strikes on Iran. So while a few vessels have safely reached ports in India, we have seen Nanda Devi, Shivalik as well as Jagladki, including over 600 crew members. They are still awaiting clearance. Officials now say they're closely monitoring the situation as India still works to secure the safe transit of vital energy supplies through this tense maritime corridor. Now, fresh visuals have also emerged courtesy a captain on board a stranded vessel, in fact, showing us what's the situation currently at the Strait of Hormuz. Take a look at this detailed report.
As concerns loom large over Indian energy supplies stranded in the Strait of Hormuz, dozens of Indian ships carrying crude, LPG and LNG continue to remain trapped in the Strait of Hormuz as conflict escalates in the Gulf region. And in the midst of this, adding on to the resultant global energy crisis, fresh visuals emerge from the Strait of Hormuz. These exclusive visuals, captured by Indian seafarers, show the stranded vessels placed along the sea. One captain aboard a stranded vessel goes on to make a claim. He says shelling has reportedly increased in the past 24 hours. While a few vessels have made it to the safety, the majority remain stranded on the west side with over 600 crew members aboard waiting for clearance. But the government is assured that none of these vessels have been struck so far. Earlier this week, 3 LPG carriers, Shivalik, Nanda Devi and Jagladki, completed their voyage to stations at Mundra Port and Kandla Port respectively.
Now, viewers, after Saudi Arabia's emergency meeting of foreign ministers from Arab and Islamic countries in Riyadh, Saudi's foreign minister now says the kingdom is not going to succumb to Iranian pressure. Take a listen as to the latest response that's come in from Saudi as Iran escalates its attacks on the Gulf countries. Take a look.
while a number of diplomats are meeting, I cannot see as coincidental. And I think that's the clearest signal of how Iran feels about diplomacy. It doesn't believe in talking to its neighbors. It tries to pressure its neighbors. And what I can say categorically, that's not going to work. The kingdom is not going to succumb to pressure. And on the contrary, this pressure will backfire. What I care about now is that the attacks on my country and on my neighboring countries that are not involved in this conflict end. That's all I'm interested in. And we're going to use every lever we have, political, economic, diplomatic, and elsewise, to get these attacks to stop. That's what I care about. Any re-engagement with Iran, this conflict, will end at some point. But I have to tell you, what little trust there was before has completely been shattered.
All right, viewers, we've got another breaking news coming in. This one comes from Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. He's now said that he spoke with his dear friend President Emmanuel Macron on the situation in West Asia and the urgent need for de-escalation as well as a return to dialogue and diplomacy. He also says that both the countries now look forward to continuing their close coordination to advance peace and stability in the region and beyond. So we are looking at a call now taking place between Prime Minister Modi and his French counterpart, wherein both of them have now batted for diplomacy and dialogue to take place between the warring parties in West Asia. They've called for a return from both the sides to the negotiating table. In fact, Prime Minister Modi also stressed on the need for dialogue at this very moment. He stressed on the need to return to dialogue and diplomacy. This is as per the latest conversation that's taken place between Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his French counterpart Emmanuel Macron. Now, both the leaders took stock of the situation in West Asia. They discussed the latest war developments and stressed on the need for the warring parties to return to the negotiating table and let diplomacy and dialogue lead the way forward. All right, my colleague Abhishek Kapoor now joins me in more details on this. Abhishek, it seems that India continues its engagement with several partners, and not just in Gulf, but also from Europe, to bat for diplomacy as the war in West Asia escalates.
Well, these are very significant phone calls that the Prime Minister has made. Remember, Prime Minister has been engaged in very intense diplomatic dialogue, first to take care of India's own interests in the geography, particularly energy security and the diaspora, and then, of course, to make sure that the conflict does not widen. And in that context, Oman and France become very important, and it seems that there is pressing on the paddle happening insofar as bringing an early end to the war is concerned. Because remember, Oman has played a mediation role between Iran on one side and the United States and Israel on the other. And in fact, we had Omani foreign minister claim that just before the war started, things had tapered off and it seemed like a deal is at hand. So Prime Minister talking to the Oman Sultan is clear indication that we are contributing in our own way to bring the situation back to the negotiation table. Also significant that Prime Minister has spoken to French President Emmanuel Macron, apart from the fact that that's our strongest strategic partnership in Europe. The fact that in the last 24 hours, strongest statement yet has come in from President Macron himself, asking for the war to end, not just negotiations, but President Macron has said that the kind of energy crisis that's panning out in the world, it's an imperative now that the war is called off sooner than later. So I think in that sense, this dialogue between Prime Minister Modi and Omani Sultan, and then, of course, between him and President Macron should be indicative enough of the fact that the world really wants diplomacy to be given a chance, and all the world powers talking to each other to make sure that both the sides, Iran and Israel, United States, they really pull back now from the brink, because the world is facing an impending energy shock if this war prolongs any further.
Right, so India continues to engage with its Gulf partners as well as European allies and bat for diplomacy as the war escalates. So thank you, Abhishek, for joining us and giving us those crucial inputs. All right, viewers, coming up on the other side, the US CENTCOM releases a new video showing the targets it has hit in Iran's capital city.
प्योर सूजी पास्ता उबालो मिलाओ और खाओ
8 मिनट में तैयार।
क्या टेस्ट है सबका राजा आर प्योर मसाला।
First we saw the people dying, the killings, and that's continuing, destruction of infrastructure, and now the economic impact. The economic impact will affect everybody across the world. You know, the price of LNG, cooking gas has already gone up. So it is a very serious problem. We're all going to suffer. So we all have to work to make sure it ends soon. And I hope that, led by our Prime Minister, we will work on that.
ठीक है मंटू भेज दे रहा है ठीक है ना भेज रहा मंटू नहीं तो फोन तो कर अरे अनुसर होगा हो गया तुम तो कमाल गिरा नीचे अब तुम गाड़ी ले पूर्ण वाला ना तो टका गाड़ी मारवा
प्यास बुझाए ठंडक लाए सबको भाई जीरा से MDH का जल जीरा जीरा से
जीरा से असली रिफ्रेशिंग असली स्वाद असली मजा
MDH
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे केसरिया से मन जोगी
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार विमल बोलो जुबान केसरी
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद यही तो है इसकी खास बात वाओ मामा क्या स्वाद है अरे मेरी राजा
First we saw the people dying, the killings, and that's continuing, destruction of infrastructure, and now the economic impact. The economic impact will affect everybody across the world. You know, the price of LNG, cooking gas has already gone up. So it is a very serious problem. We're all going to suffer. So we all have to work to make sure it ends soon. And I hope that, led by our Prime Minister, we will work on that.
ठीक है मंटू भेज दे रहा है ठीक है ना भेज रहा मंटू नहीं तो फोन तो कर अरे अनुसर होगा हो गया तुम तो कमाल गिरा नीचे अब तुम गाड़ी ले पूर्ण वाला ना तो टका गाड़ी मारवा
Hello,
Hello and a very warm welcome. You're watching Republic TV. I'm Gesu Bharadwaj, and viewers, now at least 22 Indian vessels remain on standby in the contentious Strait of Hormuz. Now this comes even as India has been given a green signal from the Iranian aggression to take their vessels through the contentious strait. Getting you all the information on that and a lot more. But first, here's a check on your headlines for the hour. Take a look. According to sources, a Russian intelligence input played a key role in the arrest of a US mercenary, Van Dyke, and 6 Ukrainian citizens by the National Investigation Agency. Ukraine issues statement on NIA arrest of foreign mercenaries, denies charges, calls it politically motivated. US intelligence report claims Pakistan is developing missiles with nuclear payload and that Pakistan advanced missiles threaten the US. The tit-for-tat attacks on gas facilities lead to surge in oil prices. Brent crude over $112 per barrel now. Anil Ambani appears before CBI, expected to be questioned today and tomorrow. Viewers, now quickly starting this hour with the freshest breaking that we have on the tensions in West Asia. Now, the US has started striking the Iranian Navy assets in the Strait of Hormuz. Now, remember, this comes as part of the efforts of the US trying to secure the Strait of Hormuz amid the ongoing developments in West Asia. And in the latest that we're learning, these are the footages that have been released by the United States, where their forces are now destroying Iranian naval targets that threaten international shipping in and even near the Strait of Hormuz. Now remember, as global oil gets a gatekeeper, the US is now living up to its resolve of securing the Strait of Hormuz. Their forces have started striking naval targets belonging to the Iranian regime and their military that threaten the international shipping in and near the Strait of Hormuz. Now, viewers, meanwhile, as the war rages on in West Asia, a larger, wider conflict looms large. Now, UAE has been struck once again. At least 7 ballistic missiles have been dealt with, and 15 drones incoming from Iran have been downed by the UAE air defenses. That is the latest statement that we're getting in from UAE's Ministry of Defense that says that their defense systems have downed 7 ballistic missiles and at least 15 drones just today as the air defense continues to intercept and deal with incoming Iranian projectiles. Now remember, 7 ballistic missiles, that's huge. The crisis in West Asia is still on the brink of becoming wider. UAE under attack once again. 7 ballistic missiles that have been thwarted by UAE's defense systems, and also over 15 drones and projectiles that were sent across from Iran. Now, following this attack, the drone attack, the Yanbu port in Red Sea has halted all oil loading operations. That's the latest that we're getting in from UAE. And now, viewers, shifting focus. As energy and oil remain at the center of the ongoing escalations in West Asia, another oil port has been struck. The Yanbu port in the Red Sea has now halted all loading operations. In fact, it is Saudi Arabia's only port for exporting oil outside the Persian Gulf. And this is the only route which alternates the Strait of Hormuz. This is a big breaking development that we're getting in. Now, Saudi Arabia's Yanbu port has been struck and has now halted all operations of loading and operations in the Red Sea. Now, Yanbu port is Saudi Arabia's only port for exporting oil. In fact, this is one of the ports which is outside the Persian Gulf and also outside the Strait of Hormuz, the contentious strait which remains blocked by Iranian aggression. Now remember, multiple attacks across oil depots, oil ports, which are standing as alternate factors to the Strait of Hormuz from Iranian projectiles. Another one struck in Saudi Arabia. Viewers, now as Iran, Israel and the United States continue to exchange strikes and counterstrikes, the Iranian government has raised fresh alarms, saying that their judicial complex was struck by Israeli and US projectiles. Now, this has happened in Lorestan, which has resulted in the deaths of at least 14 people, including 2 judges and 10 civilians. A judicial complex in Lorestan in Iran, which has now come under attack. 14 people have been confirmed dead, and this includes 2 judges and 10 civilians. A major development in the war's aggression as the war continues to batter civilian infrastructure across borders. Now, this is the latest that we're learning in. A spokesperson from the Iranian government has spoken over the matter. In fact, they have confirmed that 14 people have been killed, including 2 judges and 10 civilians. Now, civilians being caught in the middle of the war, which is now going across a wider region in the West Asian region. That's the latest that we're getting in from Iran. Now, viewers, as energy infrastructure, civilians, oil remain at the center of the war, Iran has now issued a stern statement against its energy infrastructure coming under attack. Now, that's the latest statement that we're getting in from Iran. A spokesperson for the IRGC's Khatam al-Anbiya central headquarters has said that Iran's response to attacks on its energy infrastructure was not yet finished. Also, drawing a line and telling the US and the Israel forces that the Iranian forces will continue to strike back and strike hard when their energy infrastructure comes under attack. Now, the spokesperson also added that if attacks on Iran's energy infrastructure were repeated, the response will be far more severe. Now, remember, Israel and the US have struck the largest gas field in Iran, and after that, after South Par came under attack, Iran retaliated by striking energy sectors across the Gulf nations, including in Qatar and UAE. And now Iran has said that in case these attacks on their energy infrastructures do not stop, do not come to an end, they will continue to mount attacks on energy infrastructure across the Gulf region. That's the latest that we're picking up from the war so far. Viewers, now shifting focus and talking about the mercenaries who've been arrested in India. 7 of them, 6 Ukrainians and 1 US citizen, Matthew Aaron Van Dyke. Now remember, the Russian intelligence came to India's help. Russian intelligence and the National Investigation Agency back at home coordinated their intelligences and worked on this operation of nabbing these 7 mercenaries. In fact, the Russian intelligence also suggests that Van Dyke has been in and out of Myanmar since 2024. Based on those intelligence reports, in fact, the NIA began their raid, began sifting out the 7 mercenaries who've been arrested inside India's northeast in the last 3 months. And on the 13th of March, finally, the NIA caught them red-handed. Take a look at this.
7 foreign nationals, 6 Ukrainians and 1 American, Matthew Van Dyke, now in NIA custody till March 27th. Investigation now becoming murkier regarding mercenaries' role in destabilization India plot. Sources reveal it was a Russian intelligence input that triggered the crackdown. The input flagged a foreign network training anti-government armed groups in Myanmar. The input pointed to drone warfare training including assembly, operation and even jamming techniques, equipment routed through India, raising serious national security concerns.
A key input from Russian intelligence helped in the arrest of 7 foreign nationals. 7 foreign nationals, including 6 Ukrainians and 1 US citizen. The Russian intelligence flagged off that a group of foreign nationals were giving military training to the armed group, which are usually ethnic armed group, which are usually found in the border of India and Myanmar. Apart from this, they were also giving drone warfare training from assembly to operations to also jamming them, so the whole entire package.
And now the spotlight is back on Manipur, a region that has seen years of ethnic violence, hundreds dead, thousands displaced. The probe has now expanded. NIA is looking at sleeper cells in border areas and the role of local contacts in Manipur and Mizoram. Sources say the foreign mercenaries were in touch with local networks and had even travelled to Andhra Pradesh.
The foreign mercenaries who went to Myanmar via Northeast didn't just travel through the Northeast, like cities like Guwahati, Imphal or Mizoram, but they also build a local network. Now, as they have been arrested and the investigation is on, investigating agencies are also looking into deeper sleeper modules that could have existed. The local networks that they have used to cross over the border to Myanmar are also under scanner.
Investigators believe this may not be just 7 individuals, but part of a larger group of 14, some of whom may still be in Myanmar. Meanwhile, Sons of Liberty International has responded saying it is in touch with the US State Department and awaiting more details from Indian officials.
Sons of Liberty International, the organization founded by Matthew Van Dyke, has reacted to his arrest, saying it is awaiting more details from lawyers and the NIA. The group also says it is in touch with the US State Department, which is aware of the situation and in contact with Indian authorities. Van Dyke, an American national, is among 7 foreign nationals arrested in the NIA's drone terror probe. His arrest has now added both an international and national security dimension to the entire investigation.
As agencies now try to unravel the full conspiracy, the pattern here is hard to ignore. Foreign operatives routing weapons through local networks in India. The question now, is this just an isolated module or part of a much larger global destabilization plot targeting India?
Viewers, now shifting focus. The European Union Foreign Policy Chief Kaja Kallas has spoken over the West Asian tensions. In fact, she said that she's in constant touch with the United Nations to secure the Strait of Hormuz and secure safe transfer of energy through the contentious strait. In fact, listen in to what EU's Foreign Policy Chief Kaja Kallas had to say on the matter.
We have a long agenda today, of course, very important topics like energy and single market, but from my competencies, it is, of course, what is happening in the Middle East and Ukraine. So first on Middle East, Iran's attacks on Qatar energy infrastructure create further chaos, and it's clear that we need an exit from this war, not escalation. And that's why I've been also doing the diplomatic outreach to Iran to find different solutions. To be very clear, I talked to the minister before the execution of the Swedish citizen, so I was not able to raise that, but in my future calls I will definitely do that, also raise all the issues that we have. We have United Nations here today, and we are also working closely with them to find a safe passage for the ships via the Strait of Hormuz, because it's really a problem for especially Asia as well as Africa, that the oil, gas, but also fertilizers and food does not move from the Strait of Hormuz because it's not safe at the moment.
Viewers, as the Strait of Hormuz continues to remain a red no-go zone, at least 611 Indian seafarers atop 22 Indian vessels remain on standby in the contentious strait. Now, Republic exclusively accessed the ordeal of one person, an Indian seafarer, Ajit, who is stuck in one of these vessels. Now, while they are important for India's energy demands amid the ongoing war, it's very important to take a look at what is happening to these 611 Indian seafarers who remain in the middle of the sea as the war rages on in West Asia. Take a look at this.
The
The war between US, Israel and Iran has resulted in the Strait of Hormuz being weaponized. While Indian ships had permission to cross the strait, at least 22 Indian vessels remained stuck in the contentious waters. Now, Republic has obtained exclusive visuals from the region sent by an Indian ship's captain. The captain reports that shelling has increased in the past 24 hours.
We are feeling safe now. Now there is no much panic as long as, the naval ships are patrolling around us and our all government is helping us, our company is helping us, whatever our requirements are. So that is totally fine. Apart from that, yes, we have been witnessing the attacks, missile attacks in and out of Iran and other countries. Especially the last night, today early morning, there were around hundreds of missiles were fired to the Iran. That was a bit scary and very unfortunate.
The Indian ministries have taken cognizance of all Indians aboard, briefing that the crew is safe and sound.
सभी भारतीय जहाज और भारतीय नाविक इंक्लूडिंग 611 जो कि वेस्ट ऑफ स्ट्रेट ऑफ हॉर्मुज में हैं, 22 इंडियन फ्लैग वेसल्स पे सभी सुरक्षित हैं और कोई घटना की सूचना नहीं है.
Iran, meanwhile, has stated that no ship will pass through the Hormuz for the next 24 hours. Viewers, this constant attack on oil and energy infrastructure has sent the global markets in a complete frenzy. Now, as Iran continues to retaliate against the attack on its gas fields, oil prices, on the other hand, have surpassed the $100 per barrel level. Now, in fact, take a look at what the markets are like as they continue to turn volatile as the war has now entered its third week.
While Iran and Israel target oil facilities, the common man is caught in the crossfire. Since the war began on the 28th of February, the oil prices have been continuously rising and show no signs of sliding down. While the US claims that the oil prices will come down after the war ends.
If we have a little high oil prices for a little while, but as soon as this ends, those prices are going to drop, I believe, lower than even before.
This, even as European gas prices also surged nearly 30%. Meanwhile, Iran issued a warning that oil facilities will be struck across the Middle East. The warning comes after Israel struck the world's largest natural gas field in Iran. Following the attack inside Iran, Tehran targeted the Mina al-Ahmadi oil refinery in Kuwait. A fire broke out after a drone hit the operational unit of the refinery. A meeting of foreign ministers from Arab and Islamic countries took place in Riyadh on Thursday to discuss regional security amid Iranian attacks on Gulf states. Previously during the war, Iran had targeted oil reserves across the Middle East. From striking Aramco, which is managing the world's largest hydrocarbon reserves, to Bapco in Bahrain, which produces 400,000 barrels a day. Not only this, many tankers were also targeted in the Strait of Hormuz, creating a stressful environment for sailors. The war isn't only targeting civilians and top leaders, but also the pockets of the common man.
Viewers, now the European Union has, after sending humanitarian aid, held a meeting condemning the strikes in West Asia. At the forefront of this is the French President Emmanuel Macron, who has condemned the reckless escalations that are ongoing in West Asia. In fact, this happened right before he entered a roundtable meet with other EU chiefs. Now remember, this comes at the heels of the European Union also sending about $545 billion of humanitarian aid to Iran, and also after the EU completely rejected Donald Trump's demand for entering the wider war. Now, Macron has condemned the escalation that's been ongoing in West Asia, calling it reckless. Listen into what the French president said. Viewers, now shifting focus as the war rages on, various condemnations are coming in from across the globe. Now, Arab League chief has also condemned Iranian attacks on the gas facility in Qatar. The Arab League Secretary General Ahmad Abul-Ghait has condemned what he described as a flagrant Iranian attack on a major gas facility in Ras Laffan industrial city of Qatar. He in fact also condemned Iranian strikes that happened on Wednesday on Saudi Arabia and the UAE, and in fact also warned in a statement against the dangerous escalation caused by targeting of oil and gas facilities in the Gulf region. That's the latest that we are picking in, and this comes as Arab League chief has condemned Iranian strikes on gas facilities in Qatar. Viewers, now after Saudi Arabia's emergency meeting of foreign ministers from Arab and other Islamic countries in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia's foreign minister says that the kingdom is not going to succumb to Iranian pressure. Listen into this.
While a number of diplomats are meeting, I cannot see as coincidental. And I think that's the clearest signal of how Iran feels about diplomacy. It doesn't believe in talking to its neighbors. It tries to pressure its neighbors. And what I can say categorically, that's not going to work. The kingdom is not going to succumb to pressure. And on the contrary, this pressure will backfire. What I care about now is that the attacks on my country and on my neighboring countries that are not involved in this conflict end. That's all I'm interested in. And we're going to use every lever we have, political, economic, diplomatic, and elsewise, to get these attacks to stop. That's what I care about. Any re-engagement with Iran, this conflict, will end at some point. But I have to tell you, what little trust there was before has completely been shattered.
Viewers, that's all that we could wrap in this edition of the News Bulletin. But don't go anywhere. On the other side, we decode how the US forces have now started striking Iranian naval targets in and around the Strait of Hormuz, with their larger resolve of now taking full control of the shipping route. Getting you all the details on that and a lot more after this short break. Stay tuned to Republic TV.
मेरी चिमनी टूट जाएगी। What are you doing?
रानी, इस घर में कुछ है जो टूटता नहीं।
ये पिलर कभी नहीं टूटेगा। रुंगटा स्टील TMT से बना।
रुंगटा नहीं तो घर स्ट्रॉन्ग नहीं। रुंगटा स्टील TMT बार एकदम सॉलिड।
आर प्योर शाही पनीर मसाला, डिलीशियस, हेल्दी एवरीडे।
First we saw the people dying, the killings, and that's continuing, destruction of infrastructure, and now the economic impact. The economic impact will affect everybody across the world. You know, the price of LNG, cooking gas has already gone up. So it is a very serious problem. We're all going to suffer. So we all have to work to make sure it ends soon. And I hope that, led by our Prime Minister, Executive Minister, we will work on that.
ठीक है ना भेज रहा मंटू अनुसरण होगा हो गया चिंता कुमार गिरा तो नीचे अब गाड़ी में पूर्ण वाला दादा बोलते का गाड़ी मारता है ठीक है ना, हम बात करेंगे भैया कहीं नहीं होते हम क्या हुआ? ठीक है ना भैया बोलेंगे आप करिए।
चमकी चाट से क्या बना है?
सैंडविच लस्सी और छाछ
हर घूंट में चमकी चाट। अब बताओ स्वाद आया? आया।
असली स्वाद सिर्फ चंकी चाट।
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे। केसरिया से मन जोगी
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल बोलो जुबान केसरी।
आर प्योर सूजी पास्ता उबालो मिलाओ और खाओ
8 मिनट में तैयार।
क्या टेस्ट है सबका राजा आर प्योर मसाला।
First we saw the people dying, the killings, and that's continuing, destruction of infrastructure, and now the economic impact. The economic impact will affect everybody across the world. You know, the price of LNG, cooking gas has already gone up. So it is a very serious problem. We're all going to suffer. So we all have to work to make sure it ends soon. And I hope that, led by our Prime Minister, etc., we will work on that.
ठीक है मंटू भेज दे रहे हैं। ठीक है ना भेज रहे मंटू। अरे आलू से नहीं होगा। तुम तो कमाल किया तो नीचे तुम गाड़ी ले पूर्ण वाला ना लोगों का गाड़ी मारवा चला हो ठीक है ना, हम बात करेंगे भैया कहीं नहीं होते हम क्या हुआ? ठीक है ना भैया बोलेंगे आप करिए गाड़ी जा ही रहा है। कौन सा गाड़ी नहीं जा रहा है? गाड़ी तो 4 बजे निकला हुआ है। आप बता रहे हैं लोग ये FFCCS बाउंड्री फॉर
Visuals from Palam where Aam Aadmi Party's Saurabh Bharadwaj is meeting the victims of the Palam fire. Remember, Aam Aadmi Party has been criticizing the fire department's response following the massive blaze in Delhi's Palam area that has claimed the lives of at least 9 individuals. And you have Saurabh Bharadwaj there. You can see there are a lot of people also that have gathered. There is anger against the system as well. If you see what has happened, that tragic loss of lives, youngest surviving son oblivious of the 9 family members. There's elderly, 3 generations in fact have been affected in this building that housed a shop as well in the basement, and the family lived on the upper floors, and 9 people were killed in this fire. And Aam Aadmi Party leader meeting the victims there. A lot of commotion, what we can capture on our cameras right now live on your screens. And There were frantic rescue attempts, and what we know is that Delhi government has also announced ex gratia of victims. The fire broke out in a residential building in Sadnagar area of Palam, allegedly due to a short circuit in the wee hours on Wednesday. And this is, there is, in fact, the Prime Minister had also announced on Wednesday an ex gratia of 2 lakh to the next of kin of each deceased in the Palam residential building fire. And this is the update that we're getting in from Delhi. And the fire broke out in Sadnagar area of Palam. This is a residential building, allegedly due to a short circuit. And the Delhi Fire Services, National Disaster Response Force, police and other agencies were engaged in relief work. And 33-year-old, 39-year-olds, 35, 70-year-old, 22-year-old, minors aged 15, 6 and 3 have also were declared dead in the Manipal hospital. Now, let's just get you what Saurabh Bharadwaj is saying. Saurabh Bharadwaj has said that the fire brigade opened the hydraulic lift, but it broke down, that the fire brigade could not rescue the people, and the fire kept spreading, that people tried to break the rear wall, but the second fire brigade team arrived about an hour late. So he's raising questions on the firefighters, the fire department, saying that the second fire brigade team arrived about an hour late, and by the time they reached, the damage had already been done. And this is the update from Palam, Sadnagar, where Saurabh Bharadwaj has visited the site and trying to meet the people there. And you can see there's security deployment, police deployment also. 9 people have been killed in this tragedy. And in fact, there are questions being raised by the Aam Aadmi Party leaders as far as this incident, this tragedy is concerned in Palam. And he's raising questions on the timing of the help that came in. There is the fire brigade, and 9 members of a family, including 3 children and a 70-year-old woman, have been killed in this devastating fire that tore through the building. And now the Delhi government and the Prime Minister even has announced the compensation for the fire victims, but questions continue to be raised as to what really led to this fire. And why was there any delay as far as the help that was rushed, as far as the firefighters, fire brigade that was supposed to be there? What was the reason? Was there any delay as being alleged by the Aam Aadmi Party? It was a massive fire that gripped the residential building, and what we know is that building has been completely damaged from inside, and the rescue operation became a big challenge. In fact, NDRF Deputy Inspector had earlier said that since the building was damaged from inside, it was doing a rescue operation in such a building. It was a big challenge, and our colleague Gesu joins us live on the broadcast from Gesu. Well, this is a tragedy that has happened in the national capital. 9 people have lost their lives, including children and an elderly woman. But now protests are being held at Palam, and Aam Aadmi Party upping the ante against the firefighter for the fire department.
Rightly pointed out, Rakshita. In fact, these are the visuals that we're getting in, fresh visuals. This is what is ongoing live right now in the national capital. In fact, this comes after the Palam fire that engulfed an entire building. Not just that, at least 9 people, among 3 children also, killed by the fire that raged on in Palam. And also, Rakshita, very important to remember, the Chief Minister has ordered a magisterial probe in the matter. But this protest is over the scrutiny of the fire department themselves. Now, remember, they are dealing with 2 charges. One, that they came late, even though multiple calls were made, and the fire was raging on in this residential building, this area in Palam in the national capital. The second accusation that they are dealing with and have not given any answer for is related to the hydraulic lift getting stuck even as the rescue operations remained underway in Palam. Look at the visuals of the people completely angry, out and about on the streets protesting. 9 people that have been killed because of the fire, including 3 young children who were killed in the fire that broke out
out in Palam in New Delhi. Now remember, even as Chief Minister Rekha Gupta has ordered a magisterial probe, nothing has come out as of now. In fact, while the agency says that they're working round the clock to get to the bottom of the incident and to give relief to the families of those who've been killed by the dangerous fires, people are out here protesting not just against the fire but also the department for their delay over the rescue operations. Not just that, their hydraulic lift also getting stuck at the moment, where they say that had it been working, a lot many lives could have been saved in the fire that engulfed 9 people, including 3 children that were killed in the bloody fires that took place in Palam, in the national capital. Back to you, Rakshita.
Right. Of course, this is one of the deadliest fires that we see, deadliest fire that national capital has witnessed, as 9 members of the family die in this massive blaze. But you can see Saurabh Bharadwaj right at the center over there. He's holding a sit-in, what we understand, and he's holding a protest there along with other Aam Aadmi Party members. And there's a security deployment also. The presence of the media and the people of the residents of the area of Saad Nagar in Palam. We will continue to get you more details on that, but right now MEA is holding a press conference right now. Spokesperson Ranveer Jaiswal is speaking.
तो भारत का क्या रिएक्शन?
So let me first take these questions. First, your question. There is a lot of, obviously, you all know about the case, and we are also aware of the case. As you know, that this is a legal matter. The relevant GOI agencies are investigating it presently. We had a related question from Keshav as to whether we have received consular access request. Yes, we have received consular access request, and these will be addressed keeping in mind the legal requirements that are involved in this particular case. Your second question regarding Chabahar, I had commented and remarked on this particular issue earlier as well, so I would repeat what I had said before. The US side has given a guidance extending the conditional sanctions waiver for Chabahar port until 26th of April 2026. The government remains engaged with all concerned in order to address the implications of these developments. So that is what we have. On the ongoing crisis in West Asia, we've made several statements as to where we stand, what is our position, how we look at it. We've called for restraint, we've called for de-escalation, we've called for dialogue and diplomacy so that there can be early end to this particular conflict. So that is where we are on the West Asia crisis. Siddhant, your question regarding over the last several days or so, we've seen strikes from Pakistan into Afghanistan. We have condemned these strikes because they have targeted civilian infrastructure and they have caused a lot of misery to people. You would have seen our statement. We once again unequally condemn these barbaric airstrikes from Pakistan into Afghanistan. Obviously, it vitiates the atmosphere in the region. It is not helpful at all. Keshav, on your consular access bit, I just responded. About energy, we have received requests from several of our neighboring countries, and I had spoken about it earlier as well. We have received requests from Bangladesh, from Sri Lanka, from Maldives, and some other neighboring countries. As I had indicated earlier, India has been supplying diesel to Bangladesh since 2007 through various modes of transportation. We are continuing to assist Bangladesh and our other neighbors even currently. This is being done factoring in our own requirement, our refining capacity, and our diesel availability. अखिलेश जी, किन किन देशों से मदद की मांग आई है? मैंने कहा बांग्लादेश से, श्रीलंका से, मालदीव से हमारे पास अनुरोध आया है कि हम उनकी मदद करें। बहुत सारे देशों के साथ हमारे पहले से ही ऊर्जा के क्षेत्र में साझेदारी चल रही है, तो वो साझेदारी चल रही है और अभी के परिप्रेक्ष्य में उन्होंने मांगा है मदद, उस पर हम लोग बांग्लादेश के जैसे बताया हमने कि उनकी पूर्ति की जा रही है और अन्य देशों का जो भी अनुरोध है उसको हम लोग एग्जामिन कर रहे हैं। So we go further. We have कृष्ण मोहन जी, आपका सवाल कुछ बयान जो आया अमेरिका उसकी तरफ से, देखिए जहाँ तक पाकिस्तान का सवाल है, उनका एक इतिहास रहा है, क्लैंडस्टाइन न्यूक्लियर नॉन प्रोलिफरेशन का इतिहास रहा है और इस प्रकार के बयान से वो फिर जग जाहिर हो जाता है कि किस प्रकार का खतरा ये दुनिया को के सामने इनके कारण, इनके क्लैंडस्टाइन न्यूक्लियर ऑपरेशंस के कारण किस प्रकार का खतरा दुनिया के सामने आता है। आयुषी।
So this is Ayushi Gwal from ANI. My question is regarding the recent meeting between our National Security Advisor and US Ambassador to India yesterday. Could you share the topics that were discussed and how much was West Asia situation discussed as well?
Ayushi? Yeshi, sorry.
This is Yeshi Seli from Business India. I have two questions. The Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister of UAE had spoken with Dr. Jaishankar. What was the nature of conversation? Were they asking for India's opinion, or were they asking them to join the discussions that they have? And secondly, the Finnish president also in an interview said that India could get involved and arrive at a ceasefire. So has India been trying to reach that situation where they can talk to both parties?
All right, now we are going across to the latest breaking news that we have from Bengal. The BJP has released its latest list of candidates, 111 candidates for the upcoming elections in Bengal. Second list from the BJP is out, and going to just share more details on that as we track each and every detail in the run-up to this the crucial polls. Nishit Pramanik to contest from Matabhanga, Shankar Adhikari from Chopra. All right, my colleague Harsha is joining us live on the broadcast for more. Harsha, tell us more details as far as the second list is concerned.
Yes, you rightly pointed out major names in this list of the Bharatiya Janata Party. There is a second list, and if we see major faces like Priyanka Tibrewal, as you were mentioning, Mr. Anup as well, and similar faces like Rajesh Kumar and Hiran Moy, these are the major faces who have been fielded in this second list. We can clearly see some of the seats have also been changed. If you see the actor Hiran Moy in 2021, he contested from Kharagpur seat, but this time Kharagpur seat has been given to Dilip Ghosh, and this time the ticket to Hiran Moy, the actor, has been given from Shampur, making lot of changes this time by BJP. Surely tells that they have done a lot of ground research, keeping in mind the home constituency, keeping in mind the groundwork, keeping in mind the strategy which will work in favor of them in the West Bengal election. Earlier, 144 candidates list was announced by BJP, and this is the 111 candidates list announced by BJP. In total, 255 candidates announced till now. One more list is expected to come next week, but it's very important that how BJP has ensured that the candidates they are fielding are from the constituency where the chances of winning is more than is above 60%, and that's the reason few of the candidate seats have also been changed. Priyanka Tibrewal, who was working a lot in Asansol, but she has not been contested or given a seat from Asansol. She has been given from Entali because of being a non-Bengali face, and now her impact could majorly be seen in the Entali constituency, and this is what we are seeing right now in the second list of BJP. Until now, we can say that 255 candidates have been announced by Bharatiya Janata Party. Soon, Rakshita, the candidates will file the nomination, and soon we'll see the high-octane nomination and the star campaigners of the BJP arriving in West Bengal. We are also expecting that Prime Minister Narendra Modi's rally will also be planned in the first week of April. And after this list, it is being stated that the manifesto of BJP will be launched in the this week of Navratri itself, before Navratri concludes. And this week only, expected that the manifesto now of BJP will be out on 27th or 28th. This is what BJP top sources tell us. And also, likewise, the star campaigners will start arriving in the West Bengal from 1st of April, when the nomination will be filed by all the star candidates. Major faces will be seen during the nominations as well. So the second list of the BJP is out, making lot of noise, exactly how the strategy has been worked out by BJP. Back to you.
Right, many thanks, Harsha, for joining us with those details coming in on that story. Shifting our focus back to the case regarding the mercenaries on Indian soil. Now, new developments have emerged in this case, and what we are getting to know is that the arrest was in fact led by, or rather one could say that the Russian intelligence inputs had helped in the arrest of these 6 Ukrainians and the American mercenary, and to which, of course, Ukraine calls it a it is called a politically motivated move. The NIA is right now investigating the case, but we'll tell you more details also as to how the agencies had reached these mercenaries and arrested them.
7 foreign nationals, 6 Ukrainians and 1 American, Matthew Van Dyke, now in NIA custody till March 27th. Investigation now becoming murkier regarding mercenaries' role in destabilization India plot. Sources reveal it was a Russian intelligence input that triggered the crackdown. The input flagged a foreign network training anti-government armed groups in Myanmar. The input pointed to drone warfare training, including assembly, operation, and even jamming techniques, equipment routed through India, raising serious national security concerns.
A key input from Russian intelligence helped in the arrest of 7 foreign nationals. 7 foreign nationals, including 6 Ukrainians and 1 US citizen. The Russian intelligence flagged off that a group of foreign nationals were giving military training to the armed group, which are usually ethnic armed group, which are usually found in the border of India and Myanmar. Apart from this, they were also giving drone warfare training, from assembly to operations to also jamming them, so the whole entire package.
And now the spotlight is back on Manipur, a region that has seen years of ethnic violence, hundreds dead, thousands displaced. The probe has now expanded. NIA is looking at sleeper cells in border areas and the role of local contacts in Manipur and Mizoram. Sources say the foreign mercenaries were in touch with local networks and had even travelled to Andhra Pradesh.
The foreign mercenaries who went to Myanmar via Northeast didn't just travel through the Northeast, like cities like Guwahati, Imphal or Mizoram, but they also built a local network. Now, as they have been arrested and the investigation is on, investigating agencies are also looking into deeper sleeper modules that could have existed. The local networks that they have used to cross over the border to Myanmar are also under scanner.
Investigators believe this may not be just 7 individuals, but part of a larger group of 14, some of whom may still be in Myanmar. Meanwhile, Sons of Liberty International has responded, saying it is in touch with the US State Department and awaiting more details from Indian officials.
Sons of Liberty International, the organization founded by Matthew Van Dyke, has reacted to his arrest, saying it is awaiting more details from lawyers and the NIA. The group also says it is in touch with the US State Department, which is aware of the situation and in contact with Indian authorities. Van Dyke, an American national, is among 7 foreign nationals arrested in the NIA's drone terror probe. His arrest has now added both an international and national security dimension to the entire investigation.
As agencies now try to unravel the full conspiracy, the pattern here is hard to ignore. Foreign operatives routing weapons through local networks in India. The question now, is this just an isolated module or part of a much larger global destabilization plot targeting India?
And Israel has released a fresh video now. It is showing how a strike is being conducted on the besieged forces. Now, first they eliminated the commander, the chief of besieged, but now they are saying that that throughout Operation Roar of the Lion, the Air Force is conducting a systematic and ongoing effort to strike the forces of the besieged unit and its infrastructure. The idea of operating forcefully against the regime's forces, it says, including the besieged unit, when on the day before last Tuesday, besieged soldiers operating at more than 10 different positions deployed throughout Tehran were attacked. The IDF continues to monitor, locate and strike the regime's forces, including the besieged unit, wherever they operate. So this is the breaking news. You have right now on your screens the visual of those strikes that have been now released by the Israeli Defense Forces. This is after Ghulam Raza Soleimani had been eliminated in an Israeli strike. All right, viewers. Now, reports claim that 2 people have been killed in Israeli airstrikes on Adlun. This is the update we're getting in from the war zone. This is in southern Lebanon that we're talking about. 2 people have been killed in an Israeli airstrike. And this is the visual that has been once again now released by the Israelis. It's on a house on the outskirts of Adlun, about 17 kilometers south of the southern Lebanese city of Sidon. And 2 people have been killed, 8 others wounded in separate Israeli airstrikes on southern Lebanon's Tyre district. And on to the energy crisis across the globe. In fact, Russia has now reacted, saying that this West Asian conflict is rattling the global energy markets. Spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said the escalating war in West Asia has led to extreme destabilization across the region, and asking to comment. And in fact, he also commented on the soaring oil prices, noting that the entire world has felt the impact of the widening conflict and unsettled energy markets. Russia's economy, says, relies on energy earnings and already had earned billions of dollars from the surge in global oil prices. That's Dmitry Peskov, the spokesperson there, speaking on this issue of energy crisis. Russia says that West Asia conflict rattling the energy markets. Please move it. Please move it. The energy lifeline of the country is under pressure as 22 Indian-flagged ships have carrying over 1.6 million tons of crude oil, LPG and LNG remain stranded in the Strait of Hormuz following the US-Israel strikes on Iran. While a few vessels have reached ports in India, the majority, including a 600 crew that includes 600 crew members in total, await clearance. And authorities are closely monitoring the situation, they say, as India works to secure the safe transit of vital energy supplies through their tense maritime corridor, that is the Hormuz Strait. And fresh visuals have now emerged, courtesy a captain on board a stranded vessel, sharing these visuals exclusively to Republic TV. Take a look.
As concerns loom large over Indian energy supplies stranded in the Strait of Hormuz, dozens of Indian ships carrying crude, LPG and LNG continue to remain trapped in the Strait of Hormuz as conflict escalates in the Gulf region. And in the midst of this, adding on to the resultant global energy crisis, fresh visuals emerge from the Strait of Hormuz. These exclusive visuals, captured by Indian seafarers, show the stranded vessels placed along the sea. One captain aboard a stranded vessel goes on to make a claim. He says shelling has reportedly increased in the past 24 hours. While a few vessels have made it to the safety, the majority remain stranded on the west side with over 600 crew members aboard waiting for clearance. But the government is assured that none of these vessels have been struck so far. Earlier this week, 3 LPG carriers, Shivalik, Nanda Devi and Jagladki, completed their voyage to stations at Mundra Port and Kandla Port respectively.
All right, viewers, we sipped a very, very short break, but don't go anywhere. We get you how the Brent crude oil prices have gone up. Tit-for-tat attacks on gas facilities have led to the surge. Brent crude now over $112 per barrel.
चमकी चाट से क्या बना है?
आलू चाट या फ्रूट चाट,
स्वाद बढ़ाए चमकी चाट।
क्या बात है? स्वादिष्ट पकोड़े और फरसान, अरे चमकी चाट है इसकी जान।
असली स्वाद सिर्फ चमकी चाट।
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद, यही तो है इसकी खास बात। वाओ मामा, क्या स्वाद है? अरे मेरे राजा।
First we saw the people dying, the killings, and that's continuing, destruction of infrastructure, and now the economic impact. The economic impact will affect everybody across the world. You know, the price of LNG, cooking gas has already gone up. So it is a very serious problem. We are all going to suffer. So we all have to work to make sure it ends soon. And I hope that, led by our Prime Minister, etc., we will work on that.
ठीक है मंटू, भेज दे रहा है। ठीक है ना, भेज रहा मंटू। अरे आलू से नहीं होगा। तुम तो कमाल किया तो नीचे। अब तुम गाड़ी ले पूर्ण वाला, ना लोगों का गाड़ी मारवा। चला हो 10 भाई ठीक है ना, हम बात करेंगे। कहीं हम क्या हुआ? ठीक है ना भैया, बोलेंगे गाड़ी जा ही रहा है, गाड़ी नहीं जा रहा है। गाड़ी तो 4 बजे निकला हुआ है। आप पता है लोग ये FFCCS फाउंड्री फॉर कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटी। वहाँ लिखा हुआ है भैया।
A very good evening, viewers. You're watching Live and Breaking. I am Rakta Mishra with you, getting you all the latest updates from the war that's right now escalating in West Asia, the impact of the energy crisis, and also the latest inputs on the mercenaries plot on Indian soil. First, the headlines. According to sources, Russian intelligence input played a key role in the arrest of the US mercenary Van Dyke and the 6 Ukrainian citizens by the NIA. Ukraine issues statement on NIA arrest of foreign mercenaries that includes the Ukrainians, denies charges, calls it politically motivated. US intelligence report claims Pakistan is developing missiles with nuclear payload and that Pakistan advanced missiles threaten the United States. The tit-for-tat attacks on gas facilities lead to a surge in oil prices. Brent crude over $112 per barrel. Anil Ambani appears before CBI, expected to be questioned today and tomorrow. Now, in the latest, Iran has launched the 64th wave of the Operation True Promise 4. It has also released a video and shows its military operations. The video released by Iran, the 64th wave of the operations. So clearly, Iran trying to send out a message that it is not going to step back, that even the elimination of Ali Larijani or Ghulam Raza Soleimani is not going to deter Iran, and the message being sent out via this video from the IRGC from Iran is that Iran will continue to fight, that it is not even seeking a ceasefire, is not going to come on the negotiating table. That's what Iran has maintained on all along. Meanwhile, the tit-for-tat attacks on the energy infrastructure continues, but and so do the wars. A new wave of missile being fired at Israel in the Gulf, and I'll try and get you more updates on that. So, meanwhile, Iran's South Pars gas field in Persian Gulf, that's world's largest known gas field, was under attack by Israel, post which retaliatory strikes have been launched by Iran on Israel. The Israeli strikes on the South Pars gas facility in Iran also drew condemnation by the United States. Take a look at this detailed report.
South Pars gas field, world's largest known gas field, was struck by Israel in the latest wave of strikes. This was a major escalation in the West Asia war. Why? Because this gas field in the Persian Gulf covers about 9,700 square kilometers and holds about 51 trillion cubic meters of gas, supplying 2/3 or more of Iran's gas supply. South Pars is shared between both Iran and Qatar. Iranian South Pars makes up about 1/3 of it, while the rest of Qatari side, also called North Field. If the attacks on South Pars escalate, it will cause massive gas and electricity shortage in Iran. After the attacks on South Pars, Iran launched retaliatory attacks, used ballistic missiles to struck Qatar's gas production facility of Ras Laffan. After the strikes, Donald Trump has put out a detailed statement. Trump claims he knew nothing about South Pars attack by Israel. He claims even Qatar had no idea that South Pars attack was going to happen. Trump gives assurances. He says no more attacks will be made by Israel. Trump also issued a stern warning to Iran, saying if Iran continues with unfair attacks on Qatar's LNG gas facility, Trump will blow up South Pars gas field. This warning by Trump comes as already oil facilities are being struck across the Gulf region, facilities that feed the economy of these Gulf countries.
Now, 611 Indian crew members remain aboard the 22 vessels that are stranded as we speak in the Strait of Hormuz. And one of the sailors aboard an Indian vessel shared his journey with a video. He has posted this on social media. Indian seafarer described his anxiety-filled days as the conflict between US and Israel and Iran have escalated. As he narrates the ordeal, the man says that the crew found out about the war while the ship was loading in Qatar. Here's the experience of how it's been so far for the seafarer.
The war between US, Israel and Iran has resulted in the Strait of Hormuz being weaponized. While Indian ships had permission to cross the strait, at least 22 Indian vessels remain stuck in the contentious waters.
Ago, he was one of the 1%, the best of America, not just a guardsman, but a law enforcement officer back home and a family man. I remember him every day, just like so many other men and women of our generation and previous generations who wear bracelets like this. Just as we will always remember those lost in this conflict. Their names are now etched into our mission and into the soul of a grateful nation. I stand here today speaking to you, the American people, not through filters, not through reporters, not through cable news spin. A dishonest and anti-Trump press will stop at nothing. We know this at this point. To downplay progress, amplify every cost, and call into question every step. Sadly, TDS is in their DNA. They want President Trump to fail. But you, the American people, know better. Yes, there are reporters in front of me, but they are not our audience today. It's you, the good, decent, patriotic American people. You, the hardworking, tax-paying, God-fearing American patriots. The media here, not all of it, but much of it, wants you to think just 19 days into this conflict that we're somehow spinning toward an endless abyss or a forever war or a quagmire. Nothing could be further from the truth. Hear it from me, one of hundreds of thousands who fought in Iraq and Afghanistan, who watched previous foolish politicians like Bush, Obama, and Biden squander American credibility. This is not those wars. President Trump knows better. Epic fury is different. It's laser focused. It's decisive. Our objectives, given directly from our America First president, remain exactly what they were on day one. These are not the media's objectives, not Iran's objectives, not new objectives, our objectives, unchanged, on target, and on plan. Destroy missiles, launchers, and Iran's defense industrial base so they cannot rebuild, destroy their navy, and Iran never gets a nuclear weapon. Our objectives from day one. To the patriotic members of the press, nobody can deliver perfection in wartime. This building knows that more than anyone. But report the reality. We're winning decisively and on our terms. Iran is a vast country, and just like Hamas and their tunnels, they've poured any aid, any economic development, humanitarian aid into tunnels and rockets. That's what they did with Hamas. Iran has funneled decades of state resources, not to their people, but into missiles and drones and proxies and buried facilities. But we are hunting them down, methodically, ruthlessly, and overwhelmingly, like no other military in the world can do, and the results speak for themselves. To date, we've struck over 7,000 targets across Iran and its military infrastructure. That is not incremental. That is overwhelming force applied with precision. And again, today will be the largest strike package yet, just like yesterday was. As I've said from day one, our capabilities continue to build, Iran's continue to degrade. We're hunting and striking death and destruction from above. Iran's air defenses flattened. Iran's defense industrial base, the factories, the production lines that feed their missile and drone programs, being overwhelmingly destroyed. We've hit hundreds of their defense industrial bases directly. Their ability to manufacture new ballistic missiles has probably taken the hardest hit of all. Ballistic missile attacks against our forces, down 90% since the start of the conflict. Same with one-way attack UAVs, think kamikaze drones, down 90%. Now, the Iranians will still shoot, we know that, but they would shoot a lot more if they could, but they can't. The last job anyone in the world wants right now? Senior leader for the IRGC, or Besiege. Temp jobs, all of them. And to borrow a page from Admiral Ernest King in World War II, we've decided to share the ocean with Iran. We've given them the bottom half. We've damaged or sunk over 120 of their Navy ships, with battle damage assessments pending for many more. See, oftentimes we have to wait a few days on battle damage assessment to get the real number. Their surface fleet is no longer a factor. Their submarines, they once had 11, are gone. Their military ports are crippled. Iran has terrorized the United States and our interests for 47 years. Their core industries, not steel or agriculture or tourism, their core industries are state-sponsored terrorism, proxy militias, underground networks, ballistic missiles, and a violent, messianic, Islamist ideology chasing some sort of apocalyptic endgame. A regime like that, refusing to abandon its nuclear ambitions, is not just a regional problem. It's a direct threat to America, to freedom, and to civilization. The world, the Middle East, our ungrateful allies in Europe, even segments of our own press, should be saying one thing to President Trump. Thank you. Thank you for the courage to stop this terror state from holding the world hostage with missiles while building or attempting to build a nuclear bomb. Thank you for doing the work of the free world. Yesterday's ceremony reminded us why we fight. Not for nation building or democracy promotion, but to crush direct threats to America, Americans, and our interests. We fight to win, and we are winning on our terms, following our objectives. My 13-year-old son popped into my office last night while I was editing these remarks. He asked about the war and the families I met at Dover. And I looked at him and I said, they died for you, son, so that your generation doesn't have to deal with a nuclear Iran. It's the truth. And they did. So to the families who said, finish this, we will. And I say the same to every American who wants peace through strength. May Almighty God continue to bless our troops in this fight. And again, to the American people, please pray for them every day, on bended knee, with your family, in your schools, in your churches, in the name of Jesus Christ. To the troops, keep going, and Godspeed. Over to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, and thank you all for being here. I also had the honor yesterday, as the Secretary said, of traveling up to Dover with the President to welcome home our 6 fallen. It was an honor and a privilege for me to be there and to say thank you to their families. And I want to mention their names this morning. From the 6th Aerial Refueling Wing out of MacDill Air Force Base, Florida, but stationed as part of an active associate unit at Birmingham, Alabama, Major Alex
Klenner, John Alex Klenner, Major Ariana Savino. She was posthumously promoted from captain to major, and Technical Sergeant Ashley Pruitt, the boom operator on that crew. From the 121st Aerial Fueling Ring, Ohio Air National Guard out of Rickenbacker Air National Guard Base in Columbus, Ohio, Captain Seth Koval, Captain Curtis Ankt, and now Master Sergeant Tyler Simmons, who was also promoted in the boom operator on that crew. To a person and every family member I spoke with yesterday, they all shared that their family members loved serving, they loved being part of a great team and a crew, and they loved airplanes and aviation. Our nation's tanker crews really are unsung heroes, incredible warriors who put their lives on the line so we can continue to take the fight to an enemy. I've personally witnessed their courage and tenacity many times, from the morning of September 11th, where they answered my call for some help, to the skies over foreign countries where they've come forward out of their safe tanker track to give me gas when I simply could not leave a ground force that was engaged in a firefight. They've answered the call and come forward time and time and time again. I'm filled with incredible pride and gratitude for all that the tanker crews do, our pilots, our boom operators, and the maintainers. And to the families of our 6 fallen, know that we share your grief. Our nation will never forget their sacrifice, and we will never forget their names. Our entire joint force mourns with you today, and will continue to remember their incredible gift of a great example for all of us. Now let me turn to an operations update. U.S. CENTCOM remains on plan to achieve our military objectives and remain unrelenting in our pursuit of Iranian missile capabilities, UAV capabilities, and their Navy, and as the Secretary said, their industrial base. Each day we continue to attack deeper into Iranian territory. As reported by U.S. Central Command yesterday, the U.S. military dropped 5,000-pound penetrator weapons into underground storage facilities, storing coastal defense cruise missiles and other support equipment. These weapons are bespokely designed to get through concrete and/or rocks and function after penetrating those barriers. We continue to hunt and kill mine storage facilities and naval ammunition depots. We continue to hunt and kill afloat assets, including more than 120 vessels and 44 mine layers, and the pressure will continue. We're flying further to the east now and penetrating deeper into Iranian airspace to hunt and kill one-way attack garrisons, destroying Iran's ability to project power outside of its borders. The A-10 Warthog is now in the fight across the southern flank and is hunting and killing fast attack watercraft in the Straits of Hormuz. In addition, AH-64 Apaches have joined the fight on the southern flank, and they continue to work on the southern side, and that includes some of our allies who are using Apaches to handle one-way attack drones.
Breaking is coming in right now. This is a SpiceJet aircraft that has suffered a pressurization snag during approach to Fujairah. It's West Asia, Boeing 737 with 150 people on board. This was a flight to Fujairah, and this is in Saudi. I beg your pardon, this is in United Arab Emirates, Fujairah city in UAE, and the SpiceJet aircraft experienced a snag while approaching Fujairah. That's the breaking news we're getting in right now. And a SpiceJet Boeing 737, almost 150 people on board, had a cabin pressurization snag while operating a Delhi to Fujairah flight. And the aircraft has landed safely, no one injured. It was grounded for the checks and resumed flying after the required rectification was carried out. During the descent, the aircraft suffered cabin pressurization snag, and then there were alerts in the flight deck twice, as per a senior official probing the case. And a SpiceJet spokesperson said that there was a technical issue during the descent, and the aircraft landed safely. All passengers disembarked normally. Aircraft was subsequently grounded for necessary checks and maintenance and resumed normal operations the following day. So that's the breaking news we have right now. SpiceJet suffering a cabin pressurization snag, and this is an active process of pumping compressed air into an aircraft's cabin to maintain a safe, breathable environment while flying at high altitudes. So that's what cabin pressurization is. If there could be a problem which can lead to breathing issues as well. So that's it's a method to keep comfortable level of people on board even at altitudes. And airplanes pump pressurized air into the cabin, and this is there was a snag in that, as we understand, and this has been reported on a SpiceJet aircraft flight to Fujairah in United Arab Emirates. Been affected by the region. These cities have been in the news for the West Asia. Captain Kabir Malik joins us live on the broadcast for more. If you could just explain to our viewers how does cabin pressure really works and what could have really caused this snag?
See, this is concerned with the sensor also, and so many technical sagas there inside the cabin pressurization system connected with the APU and the engine also. Once when there is some problem with the sensors, so there would sign in the cockpit of losing of pressurized in the fuselage, and maybe another 3-4 more reasons of this. So definitely I'm sure it's connected with the engine also, because this series of aircraft, so they are creating this technical, they're facing these days this kind of technical problem of this series of aircraft. So I'm sure that is concerned with some technical issue of engine and the cargo, which is there is a machinery inside which is generate the artificial air for the cabin, which maintain the pressure inside the fuselage. Definitely some connecting wires or some of the sensors or some leakage would be there. That's why it had happened, and I'm sure that this kind of aircraft it not would be in use of further in the industry, because you can see in every month or every week such kind of problems are we are facing of this series of aircrafts.
Right. Captain Malik, this could be, really, really harmful, as far as the passengers is concerned. If you could just explain the physiological effects, because it could lead to even breathing issues, isn't it?
As per my concern and my experience, what I just noticed in past many years, even in 25 and 26 also. So, the condition of aviation is very poor, because there is no spy agency on this any airline. Even the manufacturing company are not just taking care of the aircraft also, and the engineers are not as much as qualified which is required for the particular machinery. They kind of engineer, they are looking after all series of engines and the machinery of the particular company. They are shifting from one company to another company on the contractual basis, and their efficiency of work is a question these days, and we have to be noticed why we are just doing all this. It's the result of cost cutting, and they want to be make profit for the company or something else. So this is the reason, and the companies, these type of companies, they are playing the playing the life of the passengers, and it is really very shameful for our industry that it is a very big industry in the world, and India. In Indian sector, we are facing such these problems. Except of any world you can see, there is not such kind of problems are raising every day. But in India, you can say every minute, every week, we used to we are facing such these kind of problems. So definitely would have be some agencies which they will keep spy on them and find out what is the problem and the of the system of the aviation. It's now whole in the question mark these days.
All right. Captain Malik, appreciate you joining us on Republic TV with your reading of the situation. We are shifting focus to other stories, viewers. But before that, time for a very, very short break. But we'll tell you more about how the US Intel report has flagged concerns over Pakistan developing missiles with nuclear payloads that can even threaten the United States. This is talking about an intercontinental ballistic missile.
बुझाए ठंडक लाए सबको भाए जीरा से MDH का जल जीरा जीरा से
जीरा सिप असली रिफ्रेशिंग, असली स्वाद, असली मजा।
MDH
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे। केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
प्योर शाही पनीर मसाला, delicious, healthy every day.
First we saw the people dying, the killings, and that's continuing, destruction of infrastructure, and now the economic impact. The economic impact will affect everybody across the world. You know, the price of LNG, cooking gas has already gone up. So it is a very serious problem. We're all going to suffer. So we all have to work to make sure it ends soon. And I hope that, led by our Prime Minister, we will work on that.
ठीक है मंटू भेज दे रहा हूँ। ठीक है ना भेज रहा मंटू। अरे अनुसरी होगा। तुम तो कमाल किया तो नीचे। अब तुम गाड़ी ले पूर्ण वाला। ना लोगों तेरा गाड़ी मार रहा है। चला हो ठीक है ना हम बात करेंगे क्या हुआ ठीक है ना भैया बोलेंगे गाड़ी जा ही रहा है गाड़ी नहीं जा रहा है गाड़ी तो चारों बजे निकला हुआ है आप पता है लोग
चमकी चाट से क्या बना है?
सैंडविच लस्सी और छाछ और
हर घूंट में चमकी चाट ड्राई फ्रूट और दही बड़े चमकी चाट से स्वाद बढ़े
असली स्वाद सिर्फ चंकी चाट।
प्योर सूजी पास्ता उबालो मिलाओ और खाओ
8 मिनट में तैयार।
क्या टेस्ट है सबका राजा हार्बर मसाला।
First we saw the people dying, the killings, and that's continuing, destruction of infrastructure, and now the economic impact. The economic impact will affect everybody across the world. You know, the price of LNG, cooking gas has already gone up. So it is a very serious problem. We're all going to suffer. So we all have to work to make sure it ends soon. And I hope that, led by our Prime Minister, we will work on that.
ठीक है मंटू भेज दे रहा हूँ। ठीक है ना भेज रहा मंटू। अरे अनुसरी होगा। तुम तो कमाल किया तो नीचे। अब तुम गाड़ी ले पूर्ण वाला। ना लोगों तेरा गाड़ी मार रहा है।
largest news headquarters. Setting the agenda for Bharat. You're watching Republic.
You're watching Live and Breaking on Republic TV with me, Ishita Mitra. Now, viewers, on day 20 of the war in West Asia, Pete Hegseth declares US is raining death and destruction over Iran while also calling out European allies ungrateful. We'll get you all the details on that, but first up, headlines. According to sources, a Russian intelligence input played a key role in the arrest of US mercenary Van Dyke and 6 Ukrainian citizens by the NIA. Ukraine issues statement on NIA arrest of foreign mercenaries. It denies charges and calls it politically motivated. US intelligence report claims Pakistan developing missiles with nuclear payload and adding that Pakistan advanced missiles now threaten United States. The tit-for-tat attacks on gas facilities lead to surge in oil prices. Brent crude now over $115 per barrel. Anil Ambani appears before CBI, questioned today as well as questioning to continue tomorrow. Welcome viewers. Our top focus at this hour. Our reports are coming to light that claim at least 2 people have been killed in Israeli airstrike on Iran. Now viewers, this in fact not just in Iran, in southern Lebanon as well. 2 people have been killed in an Israeli strike. It took place in a house on the outskirts of Adalon. This is about 17 kilometers south of southern Lebanese city of Sidon. This is according to the national news agency, which has been reporting on the war developments. And as we reported earlier, 2 people have been killed in these latest attacks carried out by Israel, while 8 others have also been wounded in a separate Israeli strikes on southern Lebanon's Tyre district. So we're looking at Israel widening the scale of its attacks in southern Lebanon. 2 casualties have now taken place and another 8 people have been injured in the latest strikes. That's where the death toll currently stands as we talk about Israel's latest attacks on Lebanon. We're looking at not just the capital city of Beirut coming under attack, but several other areas, including the Lebanese city of Sidon, as well as Lebanon's southern district of Tyre. All have come under repeated attacks by the IDF. And now viewers, India's energy lifeline is under pressure as about 22 Indian flagged ships carrying over 1.67 million tons of crude oil, LPG as well as LNG remain stranded in the Strait of Hormuz following the US-Israel strikes on Iran. Now, while a few vessels have safely reached Indian ports, including Nanda Devi Shivalik and Jaglatki, the majority, including over 600 crew members, still await clearance. Now, officials are closely monitoring the situation around the Strait of Hormuz as India continuously works to secure the safe transit of vital energy supplies through this tense maritime corridor. Take a look at this exclusive report that talks about the current situation and also gives you the update regarding Indian ships that have been stranded in the economic corridor.
As As concerns loom large over Indian energy supplies stranded in the Strait of Hormuz, dozens of Indian ships carrying crude, LPG and LNG continue to remain trapped in the Strait of Hormuz as conflict escalates in the Gulf region. And in the midst of this, adding on to the resultant global energy crisis, fresh visuals emerge from the Strait of Hormuz. These exclusive visuals, captured by Indian seafarers, show the stranded vessels placed along the sea. One captain aboard a stranded vessel goes on to make a claim. He says shelling has reportedly increased in the past 24 hours. While a few vessels have made it to the safety, the majority remain stranded on the west side with over 600 crew members aboard waiting for clearance. But the government is assured that none of these vessels have been struck so far. Earlier this week, 3 LPG carriers, Shivalik, Nanda Devi and Jagladki, completed their voyage to stations at Mundra Port and Kandla Port respectively.
And now here's some more on this. About 611 Indian crew members remain aboard the about 22 vessels that are stuck in the Strait of Hormuz. Now, one of the sailors aboard has shared his journey with us on Republic. In a video posted on social media, Indian seafarer Ajit talks about his anxiety-ridden ordeal. The man says that the crew found out about the war while ship was loading in Qatar. Now, he shared experience about being stuck in the Strait of Hormuz and the situation regarding the other ships as well. Take a listen.
The war between US, Israel and Iran has resulted in the Strait of Hormuz being weaponized. While Indian ships had permission to cross the strait, at least 22 Indian vessels remain stuck in the contentious waters. Now, Republic has obtained exclusive visuals from the region sent by an Indian ship's captain. The captain reports that shelling has increased in the past 24 hours.
We are feeling safe now. Now there is no much panic as long as, the naval ships are patrolling around us and our all government is helping us, our company is helping us. Whatever our requirements are. So that is totally fine. Apart from that, yes, we have been witnessing the attacks, missile attacks in and out of Iran and other countries, especially the last night, today early morning, there were around hundreds of missiles were fired to the Iran. That was a bit scary and very unfortunate.
The Indian ministries have taken cognizance of all Indians aboard, briefing that the crew